Hey everybody, welcome. It's AEW Weekly. We're a little late. I'm sorry, we had some stuff we had to take care of. Sorry about that. But here we are, 7 something ish, almost 7:15, as I said. Uh, yes, my eye is fucked up. Look, don't worry about me. I'm fine though. You see what I go through for you people to do this show? I hope you appreciate it. So let's see, Eric Tate today is my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to Ms. Tate or Mrs. Tate. I assume is her name. Jeff Pajari. Tomorrow is my birthday. Well, happy birthday, Jeff. So hopefully we put on a show deserving of your birthday celebration tonight. So all the birthdays, happy birthday to everyone. I'm your host, Asa, of course. And I am going to be joined by Kay Fabulous. Don't worry, she's here. She'll be here in just a minute. Yeah, so tonight we're talking about everything that happened in AEW this past week, as always. And so obviously we'll be focusing on the All Out pay-per-view. Have a lot to say about it, as you can imagine. And so we'll be talking about the matches. We'll be doing our TV recap. We'll have Kay's fashion segment. We'll do our top 5 rankings, all that. We're going to try and fit it all into this show. And we're going to discuss, did AEW go too far, which seems to be quite the discourse happening in the last few days. So we'll talk about all that.
Discourse from wusses.
Well, so yeah, if you want to talk to us, right there in the chat, talk to us. You agree with us, you disagree with us, whatever. You got some opinion we haven't said. Say whatever you want to say as long as you're polite. Just be a polite person and keep the discussion. We're talking about AEW here. This is AEW Weekly, so keep the discussion to AEW most of the time. We definitely don't try and talk about that other company. Yeah, just be a nice person. We'll talk to you. If you're not nice, you're gonna get kicked out and banned. All right.
Did you already say happy birthday?
DGSB, cheers. I did say all the birthdays.
Oh, okay.
Multiple birthdays.
Really? Oh, cool. Sorry, I wasn't in the room.
So yeah, cheers. And as I've covered, yes, my eye is fucked up. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm fine.
All the cool kids are wearing eye patches now.
Yeah, is that right?
Sure.
So if I seem illiterate tonight, it's because it's just a little harder to read with one eye.
If you need me to read anything for you, I can.
But yeah, so we're going to start on the TV recap. And we're going to go through it faster than usual because, of course, we want to get to the All Out pay-per-view. And DJSB says, hey, Kay.
Hey.
And yeah, so I didn't introduce her. This is Kay Fabulous, the hostess with the mostess.
Hi.
And
I love that you honor me with Beetlejuice every time you introduce me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, makes me happy.
And we were going to see Beetlejuice 2024 AD, the full name of the film. But my eyes fucked up, so I didn't really want to go see it. Haseen, hi there, guys. Asa, hope you get well. Thank you. Yeah, I have shingles around my eye. Yikes. Yeah, so it sucks. And I'm just covering so you don't have to see my swollen, weird eye. Praying for you. I appreciate that, Eric. It's very nice of you. Yeah. Anything you want to send out to me. Well, they said it could go into my eye and cause blindness. There's an off chance of that. So we hope it doesn't do that. Right now, it's just all around my eye, not in my eyeball yet. So yeah, shingles sucks if you've ever heard of it. Basically, it's like super duper chicken pox for adults, and it hurts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I have it on my face and around my eye. So that's what the deal is with the eye patch. But I'm pretty much fine. Don't worry, I've been to the doctor. So hopefully everything works out. DGSB says Queen K. How about that? All right, so let's get started. TV recaps. As I said, we're going to go real quick so we can get to the pay-per-view. AEW Dynamite, September 4th in Milwaukee. I put Milwaukee, Michigan. It's Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Started off, and again, this was another Dynamite with only 4 matches. I'm not with that. But I understand why they did more talking and things like that this week. You know, they had the pay-per-view coming up. But I hope that's not a trend that continues.
Most of these were longer than the last week. Dynamite was 4 matches though. The only squash match really was Robin Renegades.
Mm-hmm. We opened with an AEW Continental title match. Of course, the champion, Kazuchika Okada of the Elite, who is undefeated since signing with AEW. Not undefeated in AEW, he has 1 loss, just undefeated since signing officially with them. And he was defending against Kyle Fletcher. And this match was excellent. It's just a trend of excellent matches from Kyle Fletcher, who seems to improve every week, I think.
I really hope that this is them leading him to the next tier.
I think so. And he's been picking up some losses, but that's what you got to do on your way up, kind of, You can't.
They did let him beat Ishii. That was a big win.
Yeah, but Ishii doesn't win many matches on AEW, so I think that was a big win.
Oh, in my mind, it was a big win just because he's like such a veteran.
No, I think it would have been a big win like 15 years ago or 10 years ago, maybe. But yeah, very good match. Okada pinned Fletcher after a low blow and then a rainmaker.
See, and Okada had to cheat to win.
Well, yeah, he's a baddie.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good match. 4.5 bones out of 5 as Okada retains the belt and continues his unbeaten streak since signing. Then we had a squash match. The recently returning Jamie Hayter, former world champion, pinned Robin Renegade. Pretty quick match. Hayter looked great in this.
Mm-hmm.
Renegade sold her ass off. She looked good for the role that she had in it. But Hayter looked fantastic. So I can't wait to see her in some, real matches, real competition, I mean. Let's see. Eric Tate said the AEW TV lights are dark. Yes, they are. And of course, they're doing that to hide the attendance problems, which continue in most cities that they're in. I don't have an answer because I'm not. They're putting out a fantastic product. So is it that, niche? That's how you pronounce it? Niche? Is it that niche? Is it that specific an audience that it should be causing such attendance problems? I guess. I don't know. I tell you, their ticket prices don't help them. They need to come down on their ticket prices, especially with the attendance problems they've been having.
Yeah.
Now, when you buy a ticket to AEW, you generally get to see 2 shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just went to Dynamite a couple weeks ago, and we got to see Rampage as well. But
it doesn't matter because they're leaving those seats empty.
Right.
So they're not helping increase the money they're making from spending money on going there.
Right.
And they're cutting out all those merchandise sales that they could be having. Even if you've never heard, fucking give them away. Give them away on the radio. Get new people into those stands. Yeah, they might not know who to cheer right away, but after that, you might have given them such an amazing experience that now you have some more fans.
Yeah. And then food sales and, like you said, merchandise sales and new fans. Yeah, they got to figure that shit out. They can put me in charge. I feel like I could handle it.
And now all they're doing is charging more because they're doing those VIP packages for every show and or every big show anyway. And those are for like $400, $500. Some of them are even more expensive. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing, honestly, but they have to find some fix to their attendance problem.
Yeah.
It's bad. Now sometimes they look great. Like I said, in March they sold out the Greensboro Coliseum, the biggest coliseum on the East Coast for Revolution, but that's the exception rather than the rule. They're having a lot of attendance troubles, and
well, they almost sold out all out. They were 504 tickets short the last time I read.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But they didn't they set up the arena for 2,000 less seats or 3,000 less seats than last year's.
Sold, 55,000 tickets for Wembley, so that's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah.
But as I said, these are the exceptions, not the rule.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got to figure out something for their attendance woes. Antonio, hey, hello. How's it going, man? Happy Tuesday. Yep.
Well, like WCW, when they were stationed at Disney, they gave away those tickets for free.
Yeah.
And it was people that were just at Disney on vacation and like maybe had never seen wrestling before, but it filled the stands.
Right. And I went to one of those shows in 1993. And if you want to hear about it, go back on YouTube or wherever you're watching us. Go back to our very first episode, and I talk about seeing WCW at Walt Disney World. But all right, let's get on with our TV recap. We had an AEW World Women's Championship match. We had the champion Mariah May defending against former world champion Nyla Rose, who had been on a bit of a winning streak. And it was a decent match. It was obvious the outcome. You know, May was obviously going to keep her belt. And she pinned Rose. Decent match. 3.5 bones out of 5. Nothing really bad about it. Just, a shorter match. And like I said, the outcome was never in question. And the main event on Dynamite, pretty goddamn good match. We had the World Trios Champions, Pac, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, and this was a non-title match. They took on a team that's never been together before. International Champion Will Ospreay, former 2-time International Champion Orange Cassidy, and Kyle O'Reilly. So Cassidy and O'Reilly of the conglomeration, and Ospreay just kind of, helping them out on Wednesday.
Conglomerating
with them, yeah. This one, excellent match. Castagnoli pinned O'Reilly after the big swing, one of my favorite wrestling moves. And yeah, like I said, great match. 4.5 bones out of 5. And this was the match of the night for Dynamite.
Was that match foreshadowing things to come and we just didn't see it at the time?
How so?
Well, who's the heels in that match?
Yeah, true. I mean, I guess they were all kind of faces, yeah.
Rampage next or Collision?
Collision, yeah. Collision was on Friday this week. Let's see. All right, so yeah, we had Collision and Rampage Friday. So we had a to determine who was going to face Okada for the Continental title at All Out. Collision had 3 Continental Contender Challenger matches. The first one featured Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe versus Lance Archer. Fun match. Briscoe was bloodied very early on, and Briscoe pinned Archer after a froggy bow, and I believe that was the 3rd froggy bow he had to hit to pin Archer. As I said, very good match. And in these Continental Contender Challenger matches, everyone is banned from ringside, like they did in the C2 tournament.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Cool.
Yeah. And Briscoe, as I said, beat Archer. Good match. 4 bones out of 5. Up next, we saw one of AEW's newer teams, the Grizzled Young Veterans, and they took on one of my least favorite acts in the history of wrestling, the Iron Savages, who, once again, we're talking about the Titty City, and they return to mimicking eating out assholes. And I hate them. I hate to see them, and they're not great in the ring, and I hate their fucking gimmick and all that crap they bring with them. The young veterans, Grizzled Young Veterans, won when they hit the high-low, and Drake, the long-haired one, I've learned, he pinned one of the Savages. This was a squash match. We don't rate those here.
What's the other one's name?
Gibson. Drake and Gibson. Gibson's the bald one. Then we had another Continental Contender Challenger match. Both factions banned from ringside. We had former 2-time international champion Orange Cassidy of the conglomeration taking on the bad apple Brian Keith of the Learning Tree. And Cassidy pinned Brian Keith after a jumping DDT from the top rope. Good match. Keith looked good here, and Cassidy, always looks good. But a shorter match. And I forget if I said Cassidy pinned Brian Keith after a jumping DDT from the top rope. 3.5 bones out of 5. Like I said, everything looked good, just, shorter match, and of course, we all knew Cassidy was winning. Up next, we had a kind of a fun point, as we had a team that had never won in AEW, the Outrunners, one of my, becoming one of my favorite acts, and they were accompanied by Erica Lee, and they took on two jobbers, enhancement talents, rather, Davey Bang and August Matthews. And the Outrunners earned their first win in AEW when they hit the Total Recall as a squash match. But yeah, congratulations to the Outrunners.
I didn't realize that was their finishing name. That's awesome.
So hopefully, AEW, hopefully they've been listening to the crowd reaction and the online talk, people loving
sales.
What?
They were like number 1 in merchandise sales this week.
I don't know if they made that up or what.
Oh, God, damn it. I keep forgetting wrestlers can lie to us.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or what.
I'm too trusting.
We can check it out. But yeah, the Outrunners claimed they were number 1 in merchandise sales. I have no idea if that's true. But yeah, the Outrunners got the win. It was a squash match. But as I was saying, hopefully AEW's been listening to the crowds and the online folks, and maybe they're going to give the Outrunners a little of a push. Very entertaining, very good in the ring. Up next, we had the third Continental Contender Challenger match. Konosuke Takeshita and Don Callis came out with him, but again, Callis couldn't be at ringside, so he joined the commentary team. And Takeshita took on the Beast Mortos. And this match was awesome. They gave this one some time, went back and forth. We saw hard-hitting moves from both wrestlers. Takeshita pinned Mortos after the Raging Fire, his finisher. And this was a tremendous match. Like I said, I thought 4.5 bones out of 5. I think this was the match of the night on Collision.
The Outrunners were in the top 10 of merchandise sellers. They were the third highest wrestling group or singles wrestler with merchandise sales last week.
Third, okay.
Yeah, after Jamie Hayter's doll that you could pre-order.
Okay.
And 3 different Will Ospreay shirts.
Nice. And the Outrunners only have one shirt. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know. I'll look into that also.
Good. Congratulations to them. Yeah, people are loving them. Up next, former 3-time world champion Hikaru Shida took on Deonna Purrazzo, who's definitely been impressing lately. Good match here. Shida pinned Purrazzo after hitting the katana, her spinning kick to the head. And as I said, this was a good one. 4 bones out of 5, as Shida got the win heading into her TBS title shot at All Out. The main event of Collision bled all the way into Rampage. The match didn't conclude until we were several minutes into the Rampage show. And we had the World Trios champions, Pac, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, teaming up with World Champion Bryan Danielson, and they took on the Elite, the World Tag Team Champion Young Bucks, Continental Champion Okada, and TNT Champion Jack Perry. So everyone in this 8-man tag had a belt. I believe that's the first time that's happened in AEW. And this was a good match as well. Wheeler Yuta got the pin after he pinned Nicholas Jackson after a big swing by Claudio into a Yuta dropkick, and Yuta got the pin. And this one was 4 bones out of 5 on Collision. And on to Rampage, and then we'll talk about the pay-per-view. Rampage, September 6th, and it was in Chicago. As they were getting ramped up for the All Out show. Queen Aminata pinned Missa Kate after hitting the Brain Drain, which is her finisher. This was a squash match. Do you remember what the Brain Drain was? What was it?
I don't remember.
I don't remember what it was either. I should have written it down. Weird name. Doesn't seem to fit with her gimmick, but okay. It was a squash match. Aminata won. Up next, we had a...
Wait, what's her gimmick? So she's hotness from Africa?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Up next, we had a Trios match. We had Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara teaming up with the undefeated Hologram. And of course, Dustin Rhodes, 1/3 of the Ring of Honor six-man tag champions as well. And they took on the Dark Order, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Evil Uno. This was a good match. Dustin, Sammy, and Hologram looked great together. They won by pinfall after Hologram hit a 450 splash on Alex Reynolds. Hologram looking amazing again. And this match was good, but of course not, the result was never in question. The Dark Order never win. Gave it 3.5 bones out of 5. Like I said, nothing really wrong with it. Everything looked good. Just, it was obvious from the start who was going to win, and the Dark Order didn't get a whole lot of offense in. Main event of Rampage was what they called a Friday night fashion fight, which that kind of shit they can keep in WWE.
I didn't even write that one down.
Yeah, I have no.
It's just too awful.
Yeah, I have no interest in having that kind of shit in AEW, and I'm sure I'm not alone there. We had Buddy Matthews and Brody King of the House of Black. Malachi Black nowhere to be seen, interestingly.
If you were him, would you want to be anywhere near that match?
No. And so they took on the MXM collection, Mansoor and what's his name, Mason Madden.
Yes. And
Brody King pinned Mansoor after hitting Dante's Inferno. This match had, I'm fine with comedy in wrestling. AEW has a bit of that, but when it's bad comedy in wrestling, and this was bad, and this was just a waste of time. And having the House of Black in a match like this is not a smart thing to do. I give this one 1/2 bone out of 5. Yeah, like I said, they keep that kind of shit in WWE. Mm-hmm. No interest in it. All right, and those are your AEW TV ratings. Match of the night on Rampage was the trios match: Dustin, Sammy, and Hologram beating the Dark Order. Match of the week was on Collision with Takeshita beating the Beast Mortos. That was your AEW match of the week. All right, and now, let me see what order I had things in. Well, now, before we talk about All Out, we're going to have Kay Fabulous and her segment. Wrestling fashion do's and don'ts.
Thank you, Asa. Oh wait, I forgot. We haven't done this in a while.
Don't.
If you are trying out a new badass persona, don't distract us by wearing shorts made out of blue jeans in the front and olive canvas shorts in the back. Like Marina Shafir. Like, what the fuck was that?
That's strange.
Do you think she accidentally ruined the front of one pair of those shorts and accidentally ruined the back of the other pair? And so she's just really thrifty and was like, awesome, I have a plan. There's no other acceptable excuse for doing that.
I don't know. Do.
If you are the glamour, do wear knee-high, sparkly, fringed, sky blue boots like Mariah May. I wrote books instead of boots. But I figured out what I was trying to
do. Where's that? All Out?
Yeah, that was at All Out. Well, that was at the All Out 0 hour. She wasn't on the main card. Yeah.
This is a do or don't.
Oh, sorry.
Do.
If you have been forced to dress in male stripper pilot outfits, do switch things up by wearing Top Gun styled olive flight suits as Top Flight did on All Out.
Yeah, much better.
Thank you for the change.
Much better. Don't.
If you are trying to defend your status as the face of AEW, don't show up to your match at All Out in brown trunks like MJF. It looks like you're worried that you might poop yourself mid-match. Not a good look.
Do.
If you are the CEO, do show up for your match at All Out in knee-high, shiny silver boots worthy of Ultraman, as Mercedes Moné did.
Do.
If you are trying to let your opponent know that you are as crazy as they are, do come out in all white gear with giant photos of your house being burned down on the back of your jacket and on the side of your thigh, like Swerve Strickland did on Saturday. And that is this week's fashion do's and don'ts.
Okay, we appreciate it as always. Keeping us straight about what people should and should not wear in the ring. All right, and now we're going to get to the All Out show. Very good pay-per-view, as almost always. You know, as I always say, I've only seen one pay-per-view I didn't like from AEW, and that was World's End last December. All the rest that I've seen have been just tremendous shows. So real quick, we're going to talk about the 0 Hour, and then we'll get to the pay-per-view itself. Starting off the 0 Hour, we had former World Tag Team Champions, and of course, former part of the World Trios Champions, the Acclaimed, and they took on the fucking Iron Savages, who continue to get television time for a reason only Tony Khan knows, apparently.
You know, I'm hoping it's because one of the workhorsemen is injured, and as soon as he's better, they will replace all of the TV time Iron Savages are getting with the workhorsemen.
I hope so.
You have to have faith.
Okay, I'll have faith.
Yeah.
The Acclaimed won when Max Caster hit the mic drop and pinned Bronson. I think that's his name. I don't particularly care. A good match, but again, you know, the result not really in question. The Acclaimed continue to look good and kind of have more of an edge to their in-ring performance. And 3.5 bones out of 5 for that one. Up next on the 0 Hour, we had the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. And of course, Dustin Rhodes, again, 1/3 of the Ring of Honor 6-man champions. And they teamed up again with the undefeated Hologram. They took on the Premier Athletes team of Josh Woods, Tony Nese, and Aria Davari. Of course, accompanied by Smart Mark Sterling. Good match, but you know the Premier Athletes never win, so we knew who was going to win. But yeah, good match. Dustin Rhodes pinned Josh Woods after hitting the final reckoning. So Rhodes, Guevara, and Hologram got the win. 3.5 bones out of 5. Up next, the Bang Bang Gang, of course, former World Tag Team Champions, the Guns, and they were formerly part of the World Trios Champions. They team with Juice Robinson, you know, one of my favorite acts in AEW.
Who needs a belt?
Yeah, he deserves some recognition, yeah. And they beat the Dark Order. Dark Order apparently back on television, back on AEW television after a while. And they beat the Dark Order after Juice Robinson punched Evil Uno a bunch of times, and then he hit the Juice's Loose DDT and pinned him. Good match. Again, everyone looked good, but of course the result never in question. 3.5 bones out of 5. Next, Sky Blue came out, who has been injured. I think it was a knee injury, or
She broke her ankle.
broke her ankle. Thank you.
Good to have surgery.
She came out with crutches, and oh, this can't be right. Who came out? Somebody came out and beat her up.
So before that happened, she was being interviewed by Tony Schiavone because she's from Chicago, so she kind of had to be there. And then Mariah May came out and started talking shit about Chicago, and Sky Blue was like getting all huffy. And then Mariah May punched her in the face, knocked her down, and started pounding her on the ground.
And then Queen Aminata came and rescued Sky Blue, looking like we're setting up Mariah May versus Queen Aminata match.
Which we are.
It's cool.
It's on Dynamite.
Oh, that's right. It's on Dynamite tomorrow.
It's a World AEW Women's Eliminator match.
Yeah. So, and we'll get to what's going on in Dynamite near the end of the show. Up next on the to finish out the 0 Hour, we had a triple threat trios match. We had Top Flight and Action Andretti team up, and they took on the Undisputed Kingdom of course, that's former international champion Roderick Strong, along with the Kingdom tag team, and they took on Shane Taylor, the Beast Mortos, and current Ring of Honor Pure Champion Lee Moriarty. And this was a good match. I enjoyed it. And Roderick Strong pinned Action Andretti after the Beast Mortos hit Andretti with a shoulder breaker. So Strong kind of jumped in and stole the pin. The Undisputed Kingdom get the win. This match, 4 bones out of 5. It was the best match on the 0 hour, definitely. So, yeah, they had a triple threat trios match, a trios match, a trios match, and a tag match. So they're definitely trying to fit everyone onto the show, which, yeah, that's good. I don't like to see people left out. But maybe
Iron Savages.
Yes, I definitely would have loved to seen them left out. Yeah. Because FTR not on the show. So some really notable exceptions. FTR nowhere to be found. Chris Jericho nowhere to be found.
And what's weird is they made special FTR Chicago shirts.
Right.
Because FTR was wearing them on Rampage or whatever show they were on. Rampage or Collision.
All right. So let's get to the pay-per-view. AEW All Out, September 7th, and it was in Chicago, of course. Opening match, former world and international champion MJF took on Daniel Garcia, the man who stole his Dynamite Diamond ring and pawned it off in order to get a round-trip ticket to London just so he could fuck with MJF at All In 2 weeks ago.
Admirable.
Yeah. And of course, I'm going to go through the predictions. Kay, Fabulous, Wolf, our friend, and I. We're the broadcast team for the show, and we all gave our predictions. And the winner would win the No Bones About Wrestling Prediction Championship belt, which Wolf held going into the show. All right, opening match. Good match. Didn't go as long as I thought. I thought it was really going to be like a knockdown, drag out, half an hour match, 25-minute match, and it wasn't. But it was a good match. MJF pinned Daniel Garcia after shoving the ref, hitting a low blow, and then a jackknife pin. And after the match, Daniel Garcia kicked MJF in the nuts, and Spike pile drived him off of the ropes. And we've read that this is leading to an MJF injury angle. He's going to be off of television for a while due to this Spike pile driver. And we don't have a reason for that, why he's going to be off television, but that's apparently what's happening.
We have a rumor.
What's the rumor?
He's going to film a movie.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Right. Thank you. And as I said, this good match. 4 bones out of 5. The predictions here. Kay Fabulous predicted MJF to win. So she was 1 for 1 after this.
Yeah.
Wolf and I each picked Daniel Garcia to win. So we were both 0 for 1 after this match. And Kay, will you continue here with the World Tag Team title match?
Sure. Following that was the AEW World Tag Team match where you saw the Young Bucks take on Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, I guess the Young Bucks are the AEW Tag Champions, and Claudio and Wheeler are 2/3 of the Trios Champions. I'm not going to be able to read Ace's handwriting. Let's see if I can do this. Yuta went for... I can't read his handwriting, but I remember what happened. So Yuta went for an off the ropes move, or off the top turnbuckle move, to try and finish off Matthew Jackson. But Matthew Jackson got his knees up, kneeing Wheeler in his ribs, and then cradled him for the pin. I feel like this match was like pretty back and forth, and the end kind of came up out of nowhere. Asa gave this one 4 bones out of 5. We all picked the Young Bucks to win this, so I was 2 for 2. And then Asa and Wolf were both 1 for 2. Following that one, we have the AEW International Championship. The current champion, Will Ospreay, was taking on Pac, who is a 1/3 of the AEW Trios team, trios title holders. Ospreay pinned Pac after the Hidden Blade. I'm just going to run through these, and Asa can come back and talk more about them. So Asa gave that match 5 bones out of 5. And then we had a non-title Chicago street fight match. Originally, this was scheduled to be a title match, but CMLL does not allow gimmick matches for title defenses. And so the title part was removed from this match. So in the Chicago street fight, we had current CMLL women's champion Willow Nightingale versus former TBS champion Chris Statlander. Statlander won by submission. She was basically doing like a camel clutch, but with a chain through around Willow's throat, and so she tapped out. And Statlander, of course, was accompanied by Stokely Hathaway, who I love. He's her manager. Asa gave this 4.5 bones out of 5. After that, we saw Renee interviewing Ospreay in the back, who had some harsh words for Ricochet. Ricochet then confronted him and said, "I'll see you soon." So awesome. I think that's what everyone has been wanting. And I think it's worth noting that during the Ospreay and Pac International Championship match, they showed Ricochet backstage watching on like a giant television. So after that interview, we have the AEW Continental title match. Current champion Okada was wrestling 3 other men, each of whom won a qualifying match on Collision this week. So it was Okada versus Orange Cassidy, who is a former international champion, Konosuke Takeshita, who very undeservedly has not had a belt in AEW, and then versus ROH World Champion Mark Briscoe. You can take over from there. I'm telling them what happened.
Well, what do we have? The tag title match.
Yeah, you can go back and talk about stuff. I told them you would. I mean, I didn't say anything besides what was written on your paper about.
Wow, you went through everything.
I went through like 4.
You went through a lot of shit. All right, we're gonna back up a little.
Fast, and I didn't have any details.
We're gonna back up a little.
Who's the other one with the notes?
So yeah, Young Bucks took on 2/3 of the trios champs, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, and I don't think people really expected them to win the tag belts here. And the Young Bucks, it seems by all accounts, it seems like the Young Bucks are perhaps heading to a collision with the Golden Lovers, Kenny Omega and what's his
Ibushi.
name? Ibushi, thank you.
Kota Ibushi.
Whenever Kenny returns. Now, whether that happens or Omega has a feud with Okada, who knows? But those are the most likely scenarios.
Can I tell you which is more likely?
Okay.
So the Golden Lovers angle is more likely. The reason is that Ibushi, who was also injured, is now cleared for wrestling, and he's appeared in some other companies, but he says he's not coming back to AEW to wrestle until Kenny Omega is cleared. So I don't think he'd be waiting for Omega to then do a solo angle against Okada.
Yeah, I got you. But of course, Ibushi is not really in control of that, aside from saying, yes, I'll do it.
Well, I think he said, I'm not coming back until Omega's cleared. So he's in control of that.
I got you. Yeah, I'm just saying he's not in control of what Omega's first steps are upon returning. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but I feel like, okay. I just think this wouldn't be happening if it hasn't already been agreed upon that that's going to be the next thing.
I got you. But yeah, so it seems like the Bucks will keep the belts for a bit. And as Kay said, Jesus, she was 2 for 2 after that, and Wolf and I each 1 for 2.
Oh, I totally didn't say all the other predictions. I just did that one. Sorry.
It's okay. Let's see. And to end this one, I can't read my fucking writing. Yuta went for the fastball special, what is that? Do you know? A top rope move.
It's a top rope move. That's what I told him. I couldn't read your handwriting either. So, and I told you that it was called a fastball move and had totally forgotten. I think it's kind of like a frog splash, like where he curls up and then flattens. But when he was flattening, that's when Matthew got his knees up.
Right. And cradled Yuta for the pin. Bucks retained in a good match. And you're getting 4 bones out of 5.
I already said all that.
Okay, all right. I'm just going through the details. AEW International title match. The 2-time champion Will Ospreay defending against 1/3 of the World Trios champions and the man who was the first international champion back when it was called the All Atlantic belt.
I totally forgot about that.
Excellent match. I mean, just...
Yeah, I told him you would talk about this one because I didn't see all of it.
Yeah, I mean, just in the ring, we saw Ospreay and Pac, both hit these amazing flip moves from the top rope to the outside. Just a flurry of kinetic energy. I mean, with them constantly, bouncing off the ropes, going for moves, running into moves, only to be countered, and just it was nonstop, pretty much.
If you didn't get to see All Out, I would really recommend trying to find some like highlights from this match online.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't get to see all of it, but I searched for some highlights, and there's some really good stuff out there.
Oh yeah, terrific match. Yeah, you should. Have you seen most of the highlights, or you think you have more to see?
Oh no, I'm gonna rewatch. I'm gonna find somewhere to rewatch the match.
But yeah, excellent match. Ospreay got the win. He pinned Pac after hitting the Hidden Blade, and Kay. We all predicted Ospreay to win. So after this match, Kay was 3 for 3 in her picks, and Wolf and I each 2 for 3 in our picks.
So I'm doing 33% better than them, in case you're wondering. Very competitive.
So yeah, excellent match. One of the best 2 of the night. 5 bones out of 5 for sure. And Ospreay, continues to just be fantastic. I think all around probably the best wrestler in the world right now. And Pac, man, making a case for himself to be pretty high in those rankings as well. And speaking of rankings, I meant to write some things down, but I believe the PWI 500, PWI being Pro Wrestling Illustrated, I believe it was released today.
I saw a picture of Swerve's page. I didn't know what I was looking at. I thought someone had just made like a sheet about his stats and stuff, but that's what it was.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try and get a print version, but the highest rated AEW superstar on the list, not superstar, that's the other company. The highest rated AEW star on the list was Swerve Strickland at number 2, and I know number 1 I believe was Cody Rhodes. And the rest of the rankings I'm not sure of, so maybe we'll report on that next week or on one of our watch-alongs this week.
Maybe he posted a picture of a previous year, because the thing I saw had him at 112, and I was like, how is that possible?
No.
But maybe that was that him last year?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, Swerve number 2. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm not sure the rest of the rankings. I know Will Ospreay was pretty high up there. I looked for El Hijo del Vikingo, who I believe was 8th last year. He fell down to 18th this year, but he's been injured for quite a bit, so I'm sure that had something to do with it.
What about MJF? Do you know?
I don't know. I just told you all the numbers I remember.
Okay.
But yeah, Ospreay, I don't know. You can make a lot of... you definitely make an argument for him being number 1. I think he's the best in the ring.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it depends on how much you value mic skills over wrestling skills.
Yeah.
Because Ospreay's good at both, but Cody could teach a master class.
Well, and then it also has to do with how much with how much value you give to the different companies' belts. Because the PWI 500 is a kayfabe ranking.
Important to remember.
Yeah, so it not only takes in who's good in the ring, it takes in winning records, and of course the higher you are on the card, so you could be the best wrestler in the world, but if you're at the bottom of the card, you're not going to be number 1 in the PWI 500.
Like last year, Roman Reigns was number 1, and we all know that he is nowhere near that, just based on wrestling
or on the mic. Not
or on the mic. Well, he has someone to talk for him, I guess. Yeah.
Right, but he just had, one of the biggest title in the industry, yeah, for sure.
And a really long run with
A
it.
long run with it. Again, personally, I think the AEW title has more. It's more distinguished, just based on the people who have had it. I mean, I don't really need to tell you, but I mean, Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, MJF, Hangman Page, etc. Just
John Moxley said it.
John Moxley, CM Punk. I mean, just a highlight reel of excellent wrestlers of this era, as opposed to the WWE title, which goes to Reigns, who barely defended it. Jinder Mahal had it. A lot of people would say undeservingly. The fucking great Khali has been champion in WWE, so they don't really do things the same way. And of course, like I said, it's definitely seen as the bigger prize in the industry. I just feel like the AEW title is a more distinguished title. I think it means more just because of the caliber of wrestlers who have had it is very high, with no exception.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Up next, we had a non-title Chicago street fight match. And so CMLL Women's Champion Willow Nightingale taking on Chris Statlander. And this was a non-title match because CMLL, that's a Mexican promotion, AEW did quite a bit of business with recently. They don't allow their belts to be defended in gimmick matches.
I already said all this.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good match. These two women went at it.
It was pretty awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah. It was a great match.
Like, it was probably one of the more hardcore women's matches I've seen on AEW.
Yeah.
Which is saying a lot, because they've had some really awesome hardcore women's matches. When they busted out the what Asa thought was a giant candy bar, but was in fact 3 fluorescent light tubes duct taped together, and Willow just like smacked the shit out of Chris Statlander over the head with it. That's when I knew it was getting real.
Yeah. Yeah, very good, very violent match.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Statlander eventually won by submission. She put Willow Nightingale in a sort of camel clutch chain submission. She had a steel chain, and she had it, I believe, around her forehead and in her mouth. Yeah. And so Willow gave up, and Statlander, of course, accompanied by Stokely Hathaway, he interfered a bit, but not really that much in this match. And so Statlander won, and obviously that puts her in a position for a CMLL title shot against Willow.
If she still has it, Willow's defending that in CMLL on Friday.
Thank you. Do you know against whom?
I do, and it's in our news.
Oh, okay. Kay Fabulous. Well, excuse me. We all predicted. We all actually predicted most of the same winners. The only matches where we predicted different winners were the first match, MJF versus Garcia, and the main event, Hangman versus Swerve. But yeah, so we all predicted Statlander to win. We were all right. After this match, Kay Fabulous 4 for 4 in her picks. Wolf and I each 3 for 4 in our picks.
I'm making up for being horribly abysmal at All In.
Yeah, she went 50% at All In.
I've never been that low. I know Asa might say that I had, but I hadn't.
Up next, Renee. Backstage, she interviewed Will Ospreay, who had harsh words for Ricochet, one of the newest AEW stars. Ricochet confronted him and said, "I'll see you soon." In fact, I think he said that like 6 times. Ricochet not very good on the mic in this segment.
He needs a manager. Oh, wait, but that's more of a heel thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Not always.
Prince Nana's a really good manager.
Yeah.
He's a face.
Well, but he originated as a heel.
Yeah, that's true.
Ricochet needs some lessons for sure from someone, or just a direction on what to say, because he seemed kind of lost. A loss for words is what he seemed at, and it didn't come off nearly as well as it should have. I don't think, and maybe just fewer words would have helped Ricochet out, because I believe he said, "I'll see you." I think he said that like 6 times, and "we'll see" or something like that. He said like 4 times, and he just kept repeating himself, and like I said, it just didn't come off with the gravitas that perhaps it should have.
He should have said it once, shoulder bumped him on his way past.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But whether he's good on the mic or not, I really, I don't care. Oh, I do care, but whether he's good on the mic or not, we're still going to get Ospreay versus Ricochet, which is going to be amazing.
Do you think that's a Wrestle Dream, or do you think it's sooner? Wrestle Dream's not till October, but that seems like a fucking dream match, you know?
I think Wrestle Dream. I think so. But yeah, Ricochet needs some help that way with the speaking. That's okay.
Which is crazy because his fiance is like the best on the mic in the world as an announcer, you know?
Well, she's just reading, a script.
I meant her inflection and delivery of what she's saying.
Yeah.
Like, even if they gave him a script, he needs to know how to talk like a person.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we had the AEW Continental title match. The champion, Kazuchika Okada of the Elite, of course, undefeated since signing with AEW, as I said, taking on the two-time former international champion, Orange Cassidy, Konosuke Takeshita of the Callis family, and Ring of Honor world champion, Mark Briscoe. And this was an excellent one.
Of the conglomeration.
Of the conglomeration, yes. And Cassidy also of the conglomeration. Yeah, thank you. And this was an excellent match. I mean, each of these men brought a different style to it. Okada, Cassidy, Takeshita, Briscoe. You got Okada with his technical expertise and with a bit of brawling thrown in. You got Cassidy with his comedy / technical style. He's more technical than people give him credit for. Takeshita, kind of a strong Japanese strong style, and Briscoe, just straight up brawler. We'll do whatever it takes to win a match. And these really combine nicely to put on a terrific match. And Okada pinned Orange Cassidy after hitting a Rainmaker. Great match. 4.5 bones out of 5. Probably the third best match of the night, I would say.
I'd like to see Orange Cassidy in the Continental Classic this year.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe he was in it last year.
Yeah. No, I agree.
What I'd really like to see is him wrestle for the ROH Pure Championship. But I feel like that belt is like a little lower than where he is right now.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but it's such a cool belt.
It is. Yeah, that would feel like a demotion for him, for sure. So we all predicted Okada to keep the belt, and we were all right. And after this match, Kay Fabulous was 5 for 5. Wolf and I each 4 for 5 in our picks. So we're all doing pretty well.
Oh, and I'd just like to point out, after the first match, it was impossible for Asa to win, mathematically.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so he took himself out after match 1.
Yeah. Anyways, so up next we had the AEW TBS title match, and Camille, Mercedes Moné's bodyguard, was banned from ringside. And we had the champion, the undefeated Mercedes Moné, defending her belt against former 3-time world champion Hikaru Shida. And
is she her bodyguard?
Excuse me?
Is she her bodyguard?
That's the way I've taken it. Yeah, she's kind of playing the role, Diesel played for Shawn Michaels in the 90s. Yeah, a bodyguard. Yeah, like
that makes me think they can't like handle themselves though.
No, they're just a heel who wants. It's like an extra insurance policy.
Okay.
She might call her bodyguard, but then she's really there to help her win matches. That's the deal.
Okay.
But of course, Mercedes Moné looks like she couldn't handle herself in a fight, but I bet she probably could.
She's way stronger than she looks.
Exactly. Yeah, she looks like a twig woman. But
like if you sneezed at her, she'd fall down.
And no offense, I know we're not supposed to judge people's bodies anymore, but I don't really care about that PC-ness. She looks like a little twig woman, but is very strong, and I'm sure could beat me up. I think so. I don't know. I would fight dirty.
I think so.
Like
I would have a bad back. She could kick your ass.
Yeah, but if I don't tell her that, she wouldn't know. I would just straight and go in and try to bite her nose off.
I'm sure she would kick you in the nuts at that point.
I would be wearing a cup. Mercedes Moné, she pinned Hikaru Shida after hitting the Moneymaker. I was really looking forward to this match. I thought it might be a really interesting matchup. And Moné, familiar with Japanese wrestling. She actually has a New Japan title right now. She's the New Japan Women's Strong Champion, and that belt not on the line in this match. But I thought that would help her have a really excellent match with Shida, and it was good, but it didn't really get it really got like a flow going.
Mm-hmm.
But
did they drop open weight from that title's name?
I think that was men's.
No, it was both, because when Willow won it, they called it the New Japan Strong Women's Open Weight title.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard them say open weight in months, so
Okay.
I think they dropped it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, this match 3.5 bones. Just it was good, but just didn't deliver exactly what I expected. And we all predicted Monet to keep her belt. Kay Fabulous remained perfect at 6 for 6. Wolf and I each 5 for 6 in our picks. And if you want to hear that, the AEW prediction and preview show for All Out is, of course, on X. It's on Spotify, all those places. It's on YouTube. If you want to see our show, just we talk a little bit about the the angles heading into matches. And of course, like I said, predict the matches as well. Just if you want to hear kind of the setup for the pay-per-view. And if you don't believe our records are that good, you can listen to the show and see for yourself that we our predictions.
And I'm perfect.
I'm not making up our predictions. So after this, we had 2 matches left. They called it a double main event, but of course, none of us are. Well, I know some of you out there are stupid, but not those who watch this show. I shouldn't say. If you're watching this show, you're not stupid. You're a smart fan. But there are stupid people out there, and the reason I'm saying that, is
there's only one main event. That's what goes on last.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is we who are watching this show, and on this show, we're not stupid. We know the main event is the final match of the night. There's no double main event. There's no quadruple main event. None of that bullshit. There's one main event, and it happens as the last match.
I think the WWE invented that just to get out of having women's matches last. Like, oh, the women's match is a main event. It's one of our 3 main events, so that way they could end in a men's match.
That's definitely how they used it for a while. Now, it started back in the day. For a while there, some of the bigger wrestlers wanted their match in the middle of the card so they could go home. Yeah, like I know Ric Flair during his WWF title reign had a lot of matches in the middle of the show. Mostly because Hulk Hogan was still making WWF a lot of money back then. We're talking 1990, 91, 92 time. So Hulk Hogan was still making them a ton of money, more than Ric Flair was. And so Hogan was still kind of the main event, even though Flair had the world title belt. So it was just a strange time in WWF. And they signed Flair, had the 2 most by kayfabe, the 2 best wrestlers in North America at the time, Flair and Hogan, made 2 best in the world, and they didn't do a feud with them, which is just so strange. We'll talk about that some other time, though. Okay, AEW World Title match. If Danielson lost, he said his full-time career is over.
And that's like the stipulation for every title defense from now until he loses it.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
And Danielson, part of the BCC, and he was defending against TNT champion Jack Perry of the Elite. And this was a good match. I think Perry impressed a lot of people in it. He handled himself well. He sold for Danielson really well.
He's also a former AEW tag champion. It's worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm. Perry is.
Perry, yes.
Yeah, with Luchasaurus back in the Jurassic Express days.
Yeah, the good days. We had a dinosaur named Luchasaurus.
Yeah, Perry sold very well for Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. I think Perry was on the offensive for a bit, and Danielson made him look very good, and they made him look like a world title contender, which a lot of people I don't think felt going into this match. You look like you still don't feel that, Kay.
He has a tiny lady waist. He doesn't look like a world champion. Like even Darby Allin, even though I know Darby Allin is like a child, like Pixie, I feel like Darby Allin looks more like a world champion than Jack Perry.
I disagree with that.
Jack Perry's face doesn't make me believe him.
Yeah.
Darby Allin, like when he says stuff or when he's in the ring, like I know that he is serious and that like he will murder himself trying to get what he needs to get done.
Yeah.
With Jack Perry, it's almost like you when you try and lie. Like you get a little like a thing right here that tells me that you're lying. With Jack Perry, it's like his eyes. It's almost like they twinkle too much. So when he's talking or like trying to be evil, I just don't believe it.
I hear you. I can see that. But my point was match wise, wrestling wise.
Oh, okay.
I think he looked like a world title contender in this match. No?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I think. If you're out there, tell me if you agree, if you disagree.
I feel like he was borderline. Like he looks like he could be ready for the main event, like world title picture. But not that he should already be there, but he should be like 1 or 2 matches away from getting there.
I got you.
I just felt this was premature. Is that who you feel like is on Danielson's level, that his first title defense should be against Jack Perry?
No, but I get why they did it, and they're trying to boost Jack Perry's rep some, and like I said, I think it worked. Maybe we just disagree on this. Maybe.
Yeah, when I think of the rest of the AEW roster, I can name like 15 guys that should have had that shot before Jack Perry.
I get what you're saying. We can always talk about who should have and could have and would have, but Perry got it, and like I said, they're trying to make a new,
big baddie.
I wouldn't say a big baddie. That's not ever going to be Perry, but a new, just a new upper class heel for themselves, and try and show that he fits in with the Bucks and Okada. And like I said, I think they did a good job of it.
He's always going to be the Wheeler Yuta of that group.
But yeah, good match. Danielson pinned Perry after a Busaiku knee. I think that was the second one he hit. Maybe.
Oh my God, the first one he hit? Perry flew like 6 or 7 feet across the ring.
It was impressive, yeah.
Like, I have no idea how you do that.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, honestly. Like, even if you hit it for real.
Like, you would have flipped, maybe, but not like shot out to the side that far.
But yeah, I know you can find that highlight online, but watch it. Yeah, it looked like, Perry got hit with a football tackle or something. But it was just a knee, and as Kay said, like legit flew like 6 feet away. It was, it looked impossible. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how that happened. I don't know how they did that.
But like, way to sell. Good for him.
Yeah. Like I said, Perry, I thought did a very good job in this match.
I agree.
But Danielson pinned him after the second or third Busaiku knee. They made me believe for a second Perry could do it, but we all thought Danielson was going to win, and he did. And after this match, Kay Fabulous perfect, 7 for 7. Wolf and I each 6 for 7. So all of us pretty well. So we know what we're talking about, folks. You should stick with us, hang with us.
And here's the deal. Can I say one thing?
What?
So going into the last match, I had to win because I picked Swerve and Wolf picked Hangman, and because Wolf was the current champion, if I was wrong, even though we tie, he gets to keep the belt because of, what do you call it? Champion's advantage. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. I'll repeat that in a maybe less confusing way before the main event. So after the Danielson match, we had a big thing happen. The BCC came in to celebrate with Danielson. So Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and even Jon Moxley, who has returned as pretty much as a heel, with some mystery goal at mind, something that involves Darby Allin. We know that much.
They weren't out there yet. Christian and the
What do you
Patriarchy
mean,
came
yeah?
down first.
Oh, correct. Good call. Christian and the Patriarchy came down first because if you'll remember, Christian has an AEW title shot, and he has it. It's a contract in a metal case. So Christian has a title shot anytime, anywhere he wants it, and I assume they mean during an AEW show.
Well, yeah.
That's not what they've said, but I assume that's what they mean. Like, I don't think he could attack Danielson like at the supermarket or something.
Well, that's not how Money in the Bank works, is it? You have to do it at a show.
This is not Money in the Bank.
I know that, but it's created by the same person who created Money in the Bank.
I know, but they have not said. They said anytime, anywhere. They didn't say during a show. Just being clear there. So I don't know. It's a loophole. He could just come in his house and beat him for the belt. I don't know. I'm just saying they have not said, it has to happen during a sanctioned AEW show. I've not heard anything like that. I've heard anytime, anywhere.
He does it in his house, and then he takes his belt, and then he adopts his children, and then Danielson's devastated and on like a pilgrimage of some kind.
I like that pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
And then Christian keeps kidnapping people's children, forms like a commune.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Where was I? Oh, so yeah, Christian and the Patriarchy, they come out, and Christian, Danielson was beat up after this match. As I said, Perry gave him a fight. And so, he was looking a little worse for wear. And Christian, why are you looking at me like that?
Because before Christian came out, Luchasaurus came out and uppercut Danielson in the ring, making him even worse for wear than the Patriarchy. What stepped up with the actual contract after Luchasaurus beat him up a little bit.
All right. And then out came the BCC, yes?
Yes.
Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, 2/3 of the World Trios champions. And did Pac come out with them? I forget.
Pac and Jon Moxley.
Pac, the other part of World Trios champions.
Marina Shafir, I believe.
Yeah, and Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir, who seem to have their own thing going on, but definitely were with the BCC here. They come out and they, kind of guard Danielson so that the Patriarchy, they back away slowly and go back to wherever they came from. So not tonight, no cashing in by Christian.
I thought that was very well done.
Yeah.
Because it was they didn't all come out at the exact same time. So I think Yuta was there first, kind of saying you got to get past me or whatever. And so then they stepped forward, and then 2 more BCC guys showed up, and then they stepped forward again, and then the last 2 showed up. It was done well.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And then it happened. So Claudio Castagnoli, they're celebrating and looking at the crowd, and they're joining hands, and Danielson's holding up the world title belt. And then Castagnoli turns and gives Danielson a European uppercut, which knocks him on his ass.
And he looks shocked.
Right. He looks shocked, what the fuck just happened? What are you doing? And then what happened next? I think you seem to remember better than
I. So Marina Shafir blocked the ref from coming to his aid.
Mm-hmm.
Pac, basically pinned Yuta up against the ropes.
Well, he was hugging Yuta.
Yeah.
They were all celebrating, and he embraced him, and then he turned that into
blocking him and grabbing the ropes so he couldn't get out of his arms. And then Jon Moxley, do you want to tell this part?
Go ahead. Okay.
Jon Moxley sneaks up behind Danielson with a plastic bag in his hand, and then puts the fucking bag over his head. And you can see it sucking in and out as Danielson's breathing. So he tried to murder Danielson. And Yuta was crying screaming.
Now, let's be clear. I don't think he tried to murder Danielson, because if he wanted to, he could have there.
I think we're supposed to, I didn't realize that. I think we're supposed to think that he was trying to kill Danielson.
No, I think he was trying to knock Danielson out, which is what he did.
Why didn't he put him in a headlock then? Or a sleeper hold?
I don't know. That's a good question. What,
I think he was trying to kill him.
Okay. Go ahead.
That was the end of my story.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so Moxley knocks out Danielson, and it seems, if you're reading online, it seems like some people had a problem with this. I think most of these people who had a quote unquote problem with this, are a lot of those, trolls and like WWE lover, AEW hater kind of people. I just out of what I've seen, I feel that like that's a lot of the folks. Um, but we'll discuss that after we discuss the show. Um, but yeah, it was definitely, man. It grabbed you by the nuts.
It was so
That kind of moment.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
And it was just like so shocking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seemed like the BCC. We've talked about this on our show. It seemed like they're drifting apart, breaking up.
Mm-hmm. But we thought they were reforming with Pac as the new member to like replace Moxley.
Right.
But that is not what is happening.
Total different thing. So we end up with Bryan Danielson, and he's apparently they don't have money for a stretcher. It was very strange. Bryan Danielson was given oxygen and was then carried away by like 5 men. Not put on a stretcher, not on one of those, stable thing. Well, he didn't hurt his neck, so they wouldn't put him on one of those stable plastic things. But yeah, no stretcher.
I didn't
He's
notice
just
that.
carried away. Yeah,
With
they
the oxygen
carried his
tank.
body away with
Yeah.
the oxygen tank.
Yuta helped carry him.
Very strange.
So Yuta's still with Danielson.
Right, Yuta's with Danielson, and then Pac, Claudio, Moxley, and Marina Shafir are together.
And they went out the other way.
Right. Now, who's going to be called what? Who's with whom?
Well, also, like, one of those guys, the guy that went with Danielson, and 2 of the guys that tried to murder him are the current AEW Trios champions.
Right.
So, like, what do you do with that? Are they going to be in a match together where they try and work as a team after Yuta saw them almost murder his, like, best friend mentor or whatever?
I mean, I'd assume they're going to vacate them.
I hate that. I mean, they had to do it that way, I guess, but, like, why give them the belts?
So we didn't expect this.
And we didn't.
So it was well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going to vacate the titles, and you got to watch how much you do that, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't like when they do that by choice. Like,
yeah.
Except for the Sting time. Like, that
Right.
was okay with.
Yeah.
But, like, if you know that sometimes you're going to have to do that because of injury, don't add to the number of times you have to vacate a belt by doing it for fun sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it
seems foolish.
Yeah, when a belt's vacant, it just and especially if it's vacant multiple times, it just makes it feel a little less,
But it does mean that you get a tournament, and I love tournaments.
I love tournaments also. Some people seem to think AEW has too many. I don't, wrestling tournament, that's fun. You get to make predictions. You get to make a bracket. You get to think of who's gonna win, who you want to win, what matchups you could see. It's a great time. Yeah. Like who has a problem with tournaments? They're fun. I love it. So maybe we'll see a tournament. Who knows what we'll see? But we do have definitely a number of trios teams, and especially several that have just formed in the past few weeks. So they've got the team. Bless you. They've got the teams out there to do whatever they want to do with the belts. So we'll see.
More trios teams than tag teams at this point.
They do, I think. At least that are on television.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, so we'll see. It's one of the many questions that we have to answer tomorrow night on Dynamite. And again, we'll give a little short preview of Dynamite. But what we've been told is Jon Moxley will speak. Didn't even say that, did it? It just said Jon Moxley live.
Jon Moxley live.
So who knows if he'll speak? I assume he will. But yeah, they just said Jon Moxley live. So
this is the weirdest.
It is weird. I assume we'll get some sort of explanation.
Or maybe it's like Jon Moxley live, like in concert, and he's gonna come out and sing.
I don't think so.
Could be.
We'll get maybe some sort of explanation for that. Maybe some sort of explanation for why he keeps calling out Darby Allin. We'll see.
And where this is going.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what happened. Yeah, breaking up into, like I said, Yuta with Danielson and Pac, Moxley, Castagnoli, and Shafir together, which that's a pretty cool stable there.
Yes.
So we'll see. We'll see what they're called and what the hell's going on. Hopefully tomorrow night on Dynamite. But let's get to the main event of All Out. is a lights out steel cage match, and the lights out didn't really. It turns out it didn't mean anything. You could win by pin, submission, or knockout. Just like a regular match, of course, except no count out, no DQ. Yeah, so the lights out didn't mean anything. It was a steel cage match.
Didn't that mean it was unsanctioned?
That didn't mean it was unsanctioned, but they did say it was unsanctioned.
Oh, I thought that's what that meant. Okay.
Yeah, so this not kayfabe, not an AEW match.
Mm-hmm.
So we had former world champion Swerve Strickland and tag champ taking on another former world champ and tag champ, Hangman Adam Page. And they were not tag champs together. Swerve was with Keith Lee, Hangman was with Omega. And this is, the fourth or fifth singles battle between these two.
This was the fourth.
This was the fourth. So in the record books, Swerve had won 2, and they tied once. They had a time limit draw once. So Page with no wins in this rivalry yet. And as we know, he burned down Swerve rebought his childhood home, and then Hangman Adam Page burned it down. What was that, on Dynamite? Yeah, on Dynamite last week.
That was how it ended.
Right. And so that was pretty wild.
It was awesome.
And of course, pissed off Swerve a lot. And Swerve, of course, has broken into Hangman's house and talked to his, young son, and gave him a Swerve Strickland shirt, I believe.
See, it's just being nice, visiting, bringing gifts.
No. But yeah, so some definitely breaking and entering twice. And I don't know if Swerve broke and entered. They never really revealed that, did they?
No, he broke in.
He broke in?
He was supposedly doing that live while Hangman was at the show.
I don't remember them showing him breaking in. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
But yeah, that's our main event, as it should have been. This was bigger than the world title. I mean, this one match at least was bigger than the world title match for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got a cage, that's got to be the main event. You can't follow a steel cage with shit. It has to all ramp up to the steel cage match, especially when it's going to be like this one was.
So can I point out something that you pointed out when we were watching it that I have since seen several people point out online? So this match was not sanctioned by AEW, but there was an AEW ref in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And was there a bell? I don't think there was a bell. Was there?
I'm not sure.
I feel like there wasn't a start bell, but there was an end bell.
Right. There's an AEW ref in the ring enforcing AEW steel cage rules, seemingly.
Yeah, it was weird. Like at one point, I can't remember if it was Hangman or Swerve, but one of them went to pick up a metal chair to beat the other one with, and the ref pulled the chair out of his hands.
Yeah, I'm not.
Which with what followed, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you caring about this chair? But then all the other shit they're doing to each other, you don't try and stop at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very odd.
I'm not with that in a steel cage match where it's no DQ. It's supposed to be a lights out, no disqualification, steel cage. This is unsanctioned. You can't be taking weapons out of people's hands. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. AEW, think.
How I would have handled it would be to have some of the bigger names in the locker room step in and be the volunteer ref. Not an official AEW ref, but maybe Jeff Jarrett or someone else who I can't think of,
Yep. Oh, I got you. Yeah, that would have made sense, actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody who's seen, kind of a little bit as impartial,
Yeah, that's what I thought. Jeff Jarrett, he hasn't really been involved in that storyline.
Well, Danielson would have been a good pick, but he already had a match and stuff.
And he just got almost murdered.
Yeah. I mean, he had stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
But that would have been interesting, or a former wrestler. They got Jerry Lynn in the back there.
Or sometimes they bring in Ricky Steamboat sometimes to be a guest ref.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was he last time? He was in, when we went to see Dynamite, he was in the house, but he was just there to commentate, wasn't he? What did he do?
I don't know, because we couldn't hear the commentary.
Yeah, it was we still haven't watched that show. Yeah, we still haven't watched the Dynamite to which we went a month ago. We gotta watch that. We should watch that.
We might be on. We have been on TV.
Who knows?
I don't remember him being there though. I know he was there, but I don't remember why.
Oh, he was there. Yeah. Anyways, So right, so we got Strickland and Page, of course, Prince Nana in Strickland's corner, and before the brutality started, while the steel cage was on its way down, both men were kind of holding each other at the ring apron, trying to, the steel cage was making its way down. They're each trying to murder the other by getting pressed in between the ring and the steel cage.
Like trying to decapitate each other.
Yeah, and at this time, Prince Nana was going around and grabbing things out from under the ring, like a table, I think, right? He threw in and a couple steel chairs, and there was a plastic box that I'm not sure if was there before or what.
I don't think it was. I think Prince Nana put it in.
Yeah, he put several things in the ring.
Cinder blocks, maybe?
I don't know. Yeah, eventually there's a cinder block. Oh my God. So you just go through some of the things, not the bigger things yet, but just, God, we saw Hangman Page power bombed Swerve Strickland right in the small of his back onto a cinder block. Which, man, I don't know. Like, if you've ever hurt your back, you know that it sucks. Like, back pain sucks. And this is a way he could have been permanently injured here. I mean, really, that's where the discs in your spine, like where they kind of jut out a bit on the sides. He could have damaged one of those discs and then ended up with bone on bone. That happened to me, actually. Nothing from wrestling, but that happened to me.
I'm sure wrestling didn't help.
Wrestling didn't help. That's true. Man, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Swerve got power bombed onto this fucking cinder block, and that looked painful, right on the small of his back. What are some of the other spots?
Well, he did the same thing to Adam Page a little bit later.
Yeah.
Except Page caught the edge and slid down it, and so he had this big scrape on his lower back.
Yeah.
Staple gun? You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, there was a staple gun right near the beginning of the match, and Swerve, he stapled.
Wait, not yet. First, what? Hangman Adam Page had the stapler, and he was stapling at Swerve's chest, and Swerve was just laughing and no selling and walking towards him.
Yeah.
And then what did he do?
Well, the Swerve got the staple gun, and he stapled a picture of what was it?
It was a picture of his family at the house that's Hangman Adam Page burned down.
Stapled it onto Hangman's cheek,
so that it's stuck there.
And then stapled another picture, right? It was of the burning house.
The burning house.
He stapled a picture of the burning house to what was his arm or his chest?
Oh, I thought they were both to the face. Maybe
might have been to the face.
But then he rips the photos off his face.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Which might have ripped the staples out. I couldn't really tell. But man, I think
he would have bled more if he had ripped the staple out.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, these two really, it's not something you fake. They really fucking staple gunned each other out there. Now, it's not a nail gun, but it's a motherfucking staple gun. Those two, going out there.
And if you've never used a staple gun, they are not like office staples.
Right.
They are much larger.
Yeah, yes.
Much thicker.
Yeah.
Right. And pointier.
And going in quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly. But yeah, so they used a staple gun, they used a cinder block on each other. Eventually, one of the quote unquote controversial things, and again, here's the thing. I will talk about it in a minute. Hangman Page, I think it was in that plastic box.
That's also where the staple gun was.
Take that blanket down. Hangman Page grabbed out a medical syringe.
Hypodermic needle.
What the fuck ever, Kay? Jesus Christ. Do you have to correct every goddamn thing?
I'm being more specific.
Pulled out a syringe and opened up Swerve's mouth and stuck it in at the inner part of his cheek. To what end? Who knows? I mean, just pain, I guess. But yeah, so, to the point where Swerve had it, for the cameras, he could have just pulled it out, obviously. But for the cameras, he had it hanging out of his mouth, had it actually inserted in the inner part of his cheek, hanging out of his mouth for all the world to see. that was pretty shocking. I can't say I've seen that one. I bet it's happened in wrestling before. People do some crazy shit in some of those weird promotions. I'm sure it's happened before, but it's never happened on this big a stage before. That's for sure. And personally, I'd never seen it before. So it was pretty shocking. Definitely,
It was super gross
for a lot of people. A little gross, yeah.
I covered my. Well, I didn't cover my eyes. I covered that part of the screen.
Definitely unsanitary. Like Hangman didn't have gloves on. There wasn't any alcohol on the site of the. The needle was going in. You know,
there was at least a cap on the needle that Hangman pulled off before stabbing Swerve.
Right.
I really thought that Hangman was trying to stab it through, like all the way through his cheek.
Yeah.
And I still kind of think that, and that they couldn't get it to go all the way through. Because at one point he was pushing it so hard that you could see Swerve's cheek like pushing out, and he was like pushing down on it. Hangman was. So I kind of think he was trying to like go all the way through.
I'm not sure, because that would take so much force, and that actually, it is dangerous,
Yeah.
But it's not like a fucking million other things that they did weren't dangerous. I mean, these two beat the shit out of each other. And that was the question heading in. They had a what was that? What's the stipulation in their last match?
Texas Death Match.
They had a Texas Death Match several months ago, and I mean they beat the shit out of each other in that, and it was fantastic. And it ended when Swerve hanged Hangman, and
with a chain, right?
I think with a chain, yeah. And that was the question: was how much farther can these two go? Can they top that Texas Death Match?
The answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes. Yeah, and they were bleeding profusely, both of them. It was glorious. I love blood in a big time wrestling match personally, and that's a personal. Whether you like it or not, I get it if you're squeamish. If you don't, but personally, I love it. Really enjoy it. Makes a match. Because that's the thing. If these two men are real or women, if they're really out there fighting each other, tooth and nail, somebody's gonna bleed. I mean, that's how fights work. So it really adds to the realism, which, I mean, we all know it's, scripted. But, I've said it before, when I'm watching a wrestling event, for the most part, I try and put all the real life stuff out of my head. And I just want to see the wrestling, and I want to, think these are real fights, for the most part. I mean, obviously I know a lot about wrestling, so it's hard to cut all that off in your brain. But as much as I can, I try to, so I can just enjoy the show. So that's my point. I want to believe it, and the blood just adds to the believability level of matches. I feel like now you can't overuse it, but maybe it's underused with all these fights happening. I don't know. That's a debate.
Well, that's what John Moxley said when he was getting
right.
People were complaining about him bleeding in every match.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if I was really fighting someone, I would be bleeding, and so would they.
Yep.
It's just trying to make it look real.
Yep. And I totally get it. But as I said, I totally get if people don't want to see that, and if they think it's unsafe. I mean, really, these two should be getting one of those instant AIDS tests before the match for sure.
Is that a thing?
I believe that is a thing. I believe it's a thing used in the porn industry. Mainly.
Do you think they take PrEP?
Who?
Wrestlers.
Take PrEP?
Yeah, the medicine that's supposed to help prevent the spread of HIV.
Oh, I bet they don't. I don't know. That's a good question. If it were me, I fucking would. Sure as fuck would.
I was really glad that unlike the Texas Death Match, no one drank the other person's blood.
Yeah.
That was nice.
If it were me back when I was a manager, thankfully no one ever asked me to let someone bleed on me.
That's the part that grosses me out. I don't mind if you're bleeding, but you got to keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't you bleed on me? Don't you try and lick my blood? Ugh.
It's definitely divisive in the wrestling community.
Yeah. I used to be against it totally, though. Remember? And then AEW won me over to the bloody side, I guess. Although the needle thing I couldn't handle.
Well, we gotta watch some NWA stuff too. NWA in the '80s is stuff I just love. And you haven't seen any ECW yet.
That's why I haven't seen any ECW
I think
yet.
you've seen like 2 matches,
Yes,
I think.
in which no one bled.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know if I can handle ECW.
You'll love it.
Isn't it like the main event, like, of this, except like every match?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no.
Good. In my head, that's what it's like. So
No, not at all. No. It's not like that.
So how'd the match finish?
Right. So, match ends. Adam Page has a steel chair, and this was another quote unquote controversial part. Maybe for better, more so than the hypodermic needle.
Yeah, I think so.
Because that is, obviously Swerve says, yes, you can do this to me, it's fine. But, nothing really is going to, unless he gets his cheek infected, nothing's going to come of it for Swerve. It's fine. But here, Swerve was on his knees, and Paige comes over with a steel chair and hits the shit out of him with it. And during the pay-per-view, they edited really quickly to where you heard this big bang, but you didn't actually see the chair shot on the pay-per-view, which I don't know if that was intentional or not, but
I have to imagine not.
I hope it wasn't. Yeah, you want to see it, like somebody fucked up there. It's like firing worthy offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you not get the end of the pay-per-view on camera?
Yeah. Luckily, there's fan footage that got posted, though.
Right. And so at first I was kind of horrified, because it wasn't just a regular chair shot. It was a chair shot where the seat of the chair broke, and this chair was just hanging around Swerve's neck. And Paige, Swerve was knocked out, and so Paige wins the match, gets his first win in this rivalry. But more importantly than that, of course, was the question, was Swerve okay? And, after seeing, as Kay said, the fan footage, which that's something to find for yourself, definitely. After seeing the fan footage, it's really obvious that the chair was gimmicked. It was quite a bang, and, he did hit him in the head, so that part is, as I don't mean to overuse the word, but yeah, it's controversial. Definitely that is, especially in the wrestling community. We've pretty much, in the bigger companies, and all around, but definitely in the bigger companies, we've kind of outlawed chair shots to the head. The more we find out about concussions and their long-term effects, the more we don't want to see this happen to anyone. All these football players, turning,
into homicidal maniacs.
Yeah. Like you're right, Aaron Hernandez of the Patriots, killed somebody or several people and ended up killing himself. Chris Benoit, of course, killed his family, killed himself. A lot of people believe that had to do with chair shot concussions. His finisher was a swan dive headbutt from the top rope. So imagine how many times he hit his head doing that. But yeah, the more we know about these concussions, the worse we find out they are for your brain. And the more long-term effects we find. So that really is the question, is, was Swerve putting himself in, and obviously this is something he was okay with. It's not a real fight. Hangman didn't just choose this on his own. Obviously Swerve was okay with it. But that's the question is, should we even give them a platform where they can say, I'm okay with this, Shouldn't someone be there to override that choice and say, no, we're not letting this happen in our company. We don't want people seeing you get hit by the chair. But where I was going before I started on this point, and we're going to continue talking about this, but where I was going before I started on that point is the chair was very obviously gimmicked to where, as I said, the seat broke away. It was very obvious that whatever pressure was applied to the seat, it was coming loose. So, obviously, Hangman did not hit Swerve hard enough with the chair to make the seat come loose. And then Swerve still had the wherewithal to sell the chair shot, and then, be okay after the match. At least be able to get up under his own power after the match. So that wasn't in question whether it was real or he really broke the seat of the chair or anything like that. It wasn't as bad as it looked. But again, he still got hit with the chair. So that's the real question: is how much force really was there in a seat that's giving way the opposite direction? That's the question: is how much force was necessary to cause that gimmick to break?
Can I put something out there?
Okay, let me finish before we talk about all that for a minute. Hangman Page won the match, won his first win in the rivalry, and goes down the ramp. And at first, it's kind of obvious, he's hanging his head a little. It's kind of feels like he feels bad about some of the violence he just inflicted on Swerve. But then he turns around and he kind of has accepted it and accepted his role as this
mayor of Crazy Town.
Sure. And he turns around and he just like screams crazily, and you can find pictures of this online as well, like the closing shot of the pay-per-view. He looks like a madman. And then as Kay noted to me, he I pointed out before during this feud, Hangman, what was one of the more interesting things, AEW has a face tunnel and a heel tunnel when they enter and exit. And Hangman kept going through the face tunnel, because he literally thought he was the good guy. I'm the good guy in this feud. Fuck Swerve. I'm the good guy. Mm-hmm. But this time, when he exited the arena, he paused for a second and he went through the heel exit. So he's finally accepted he's a bad guy. So it's very interesting at the end of the show there. And as far as our predictions, so Kay said I had no chance, and it came down. I told you this was one of only 2 matches that the 3 of us disagreed upon. So if Hangman won, Wolf would win. If Swerve won, Kay would win. Kay and I both picked Swerve, and so Hangman won. So Wolf and Kay Fabulous both finished 7 for 8 in their picks, but Wolf being the champion, that's the tiebreaker. And so Wolf kept the No Bones About Wrestling Prediction Championship belt, which is around here somewhere, and I was going to show it off. But Wolf kept the belt, and Kay Fabulous finished second. I finished third, but I still went 6 for 8. So, as I said, the 3 of us did pretty damn good on this show. Now, I wish these shows were less predictable. Don't get me. It's not what I want to be able to predict all the matches. I like I said, in wrestling, I love being wrong. That's part of the fun is when the unexpected happens. I love being wrong. I'm just not very much.
That being said, he's only held the title for like 2 months.
But nonetheless, like I said, I went 6 for 8 in my picks, and they each went 7 for 8. So like I said, the 3 of us, we know what's going on a little.
Except All In, where I got a 50%.
Yeah.
Which is like, what the fuck happened? But it was also like Asa was saying, like, it was really nice to not know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I was so clearly wrong about so many things.
Yeah, and here in the main event, it was 50-50.
Yeah. Like, my thinking was just, they signed him to a huge... Swerve, yes. To a huge, restructuring of his contract. And he had just lost it All In. And so I just couldn't see him losing twice at a big pay-per-view, like twice in a row. Mm-hmm. And them giving all this money just to make him lose. But they did.
Yep, that's what they did. And supposedly now Swerve, due to this chair shot, he's being written off television just like MJF for a while. Mm-hmm. Do we have a reason for Swerve's absence?
We don't, but if I can hazard a guess. Okay. He has been nonstop on television.
True.
Like, I can't think of the last pay-per-view where he wasn't wrestling.
But that, before AEW, that's what the big wrestling companies usually do. If you're healthy, you're wrestling.
Yeah.
Even if you're a little hurt, you're wrestling.
But AEW has, never done that. And so, kind of like with Jon Moxley, they kept pushing back his vacation, and then finally, when they weren't using him in the main event scene anymore, he went on vacation. And so, I don't know. That's what I'm hoping for Swerve. He gets a break.
Steven Chambers, what's up? Just tuning in. Hey, Steven, how's it going? So, for those of you, so a bunch of people have tuned in throughout the course. My eye is fucked up. I have shingles near my eye, which is painful, but I'm okay. I've been to the doctor. I have medicine, so I'm just gonna look like this for a little bit. Steven Chambers says, guessing another Swerve versus Hangman at World's End.
Oh, I like that suggestion.
Maybe. What is that? We got 3.5 months till World's End, I believe.
So that can give Swerve like a nice vacation. That can let Hangman go farther down the rabbit hole of crazy. And then I like it. And then we it up. Yeah.
Steven says, R, matey. Yes. Yeah, I almost debated wearing one of Kay's like golden earrings, in here.
You have a pirate patch too. It just doesn't have skull and crossbones on it.
Right, yes. I also have a black eye patch, but this is a little more medical.
Can I say what I was going to say about the chair shot?
Well, let me finish.
I'm
just talking about the show. So again, Wolf won the kept the prediction championship, going 7 for 8. Kay lost the tiebreaker, second place, 7 for 8. Myself, 6 for 8 in the picks. So we all did pretty well. So that's overall 20 for 24, pretty good. And yeah, great show. We got the big angle with Brian. We got the big, not the finish of this feud. I don't know if this feud will ever end.
I really hope it doesn't.
But we got a big moment in this feud. And we kind of elevated Jack Perry. And I think, we predicted no titles would change hands. And we were right on that count. No titles changed hands. Steve Chambers says it's rigged. Wolf won. Well, we always say Wolf has the scripts to everything because he predicts a lot. Like when Dynamite started last week, he was like, "Oh, Hangman's going to burn down Swerve's house," and we were like, "Oh my God, you're totally right," Yeah, Wolf.
He knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not rigged. No.
Yeah.
But Wolf did win. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We have Wrestle Dream coming up next month. And you tied, but he won the tiebreaker because he's the champion. We have Wrestle Dream coming up next month. You can avenge yourself. I can avenge myself. We'll see.
Oh, please. No, I'm going to get it.
But yeah, so pay-per-view, excellent. I gave it 5 bones out of 5.
Did you rate the last match?
Oh, I'm sorry. The last match, final match, 5 bones out of 5. Best match on the show, yeah, the main event. Match of the night, definitely the main event. Steven Chambers says, I need to challenge Wolf. I bet I can beat him. Okay, we'll work that out for Wrestle Dream. Why not? We can, maybe for Wrestle Dream, we can take in viewer, let's take in maybe some viewer picks, and we'll see how you guys stand up against us. Yeah, that'd be fun.
That's a great idea.
So let me write down that idea before I forget it. But yeah, that was the match of the night. Definitely the main event, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
And the show, what did you give it?
I gave it 5 bones.
Yeah, 5 bones out of 5. Another excellent show by AEW. And I think we said, the worst match? Probably Monet versus Shida, which wasn't bad. It just wasn't what we hoped for.
Yeah.
Okay, and now, Kay, you've been wanting to say something about the main event. So go for it.
Yeah, about the chair shot. So I have a background in theater.
And so what we're going to do now, I just want to bring up, we're answering the question that's been asked by a lot of people. I don't think in good faith by a lot of people, but it's been asked by a lot of people, did AEW go too far? So now that's what we're going to discuss. And if you guys want to join in the discussion, join in. Go. All right, now go, Kay.
Okay, so I'm going to say no to your question. But I will say at Blood and Guts, Jack Perry's unprotected headshot with a chair, yes.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And Tony was all like, we have a special way of doing things, and I'm not going to reveal the secrets. And I'm like, no fucking way, dude. That guy just got hit in the head with a chair while his arms were locked to the cage so he couldn't protect himself. But this one, even... I
told you they shaved the chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
He still got hit with it pretty hard, yeah.
Yeah. So that was my point. But with Swerve, I like I said, during the show we didn't see the headshot. We just heard it. But as soon as they showed him with the chair around himself, I knew it wasn't real. The way the chair broke, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And it's not like these chairs, like someone's sitting in it and then like hands it to him, like, oh, here's a chair, go murder that guy. And I have a theater background. That's what I did professionally for a large portion of my life. And just seeing how they rig things for theater, like for stage fighting and stuff, like it's totally possible to get that chair to make that sound and break away with like almost no impact issues to the actor or to the wrestler. And so even though it was loud, I think a large part of that loudness was the chair hitting his shoulders after it broke. Like it was the sound of it breaking and simultaneously hitting his shoulders, which made it sound louder than just one of those things happening at a time. Yeah, I think it was fine. And Swerve seems to think it was fine.
Now, we're talking about some other stuff, but I want to. There's a point. Well, Steven gives the show 8.5 out of 10. Says syringe at the end really wasn't necessary, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Steven also says, and this is something he says, ain't no different than Rock hitting Foley while Foley was handcuffed. And he's talking about Royal Rumble 1999 when The Rock hit McFoley in the head like 20 fucking times with a steel chair.
Yeah.
And Steven, I've got to tell you, this is different. This is way different. And the difference is, as Kay just pointed out, this chair was gimmicked, by AEW. That chair at the Royal Rumble 99 was not gimmicked. The Rock was legit hitting Mick Foley in the head with a steel chair, with a real steel chair.
And multiple times.
Multiple times, very hard. I mean, that's before the chair shots to the head were kind of banned, And again, before we realized concussions aren't just like, oh man, that hurt. I'll be fine in a week. We found out that's not the case. And so we'll see. I think Mick Foley, unfortunately, in a couple decades here, is not going to be doing too well. So we'll see.
I mean, The Rock's apologized to Mick Foley after seeing footage of that match.
Yeah.
Like, he was horrified at the footage from it. I mean, Mick Foley said, like, there's nothing to apologize for, but...
Well, he did. No. He did in his book. Mick Foley said that he thought The Rock did go too far. Now, he was just in the spirit of the show, but he did kind of expect The Rock to check on him or an apology or something after the show, and that did not happen.
Oh, I see.
And he kind of felt bad about that. Foley did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the difference, Steven. Yeah. So I just want to point that out. That was legit. Those were legit. He still got hit very hard with something, but again, it was gimmicked to break. That's the big difference. And here Steven says, wow, Hammerstone Wrestling Oba Femi. I got to admit, I don't know. I know those names. I don't know what you're talking about, though, really. Feel free to tell us what you're talking about. But yeah, the chair shot at the end, was it too far? Again, maybe. And again, that's because I can't say, I don't know how hard Swerve had to get hit for the gimmicked chair to break. Now, from the sound of it, he got hit pretty hard with it.
I think it was the shoulder.
It wasn't his shoulders. You can't make that sound with a shoulder. You think so?
Yeah.
Well, we'll go back and look at it. I think he got hit pretty fucking hard with the chair still.
I mean, as far as like breakaway wooden chairs.
Well, that's not what we're talking about.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you can throw a wooden chair at someone in theater or like smash it over their head and the sound is terrible. Like, it sounds like you're breaking a chair over their head, but it's made to fall apart so it doesn't hurt them. Like, there's ways to rig things to also change the sound that's happening, not just the fact that it's breaking away, but breaking away and making a specific sound,
I don't think that's what happened here, but I don't know. And Steven here says in the Beyond the Mat documentary, Foley's family walked out during the chair shots. Yeah. There's a really good wrestling documentary called Beyond the Mat, and they were filming. Foley's wife and his children were ringside for Royal Rumble 99. It was a big match for Foley. I believe he was world champion at the time. And yeah, his children were just crying, and his wife I believe she was crying as well. It was not. It was probably not a good call by Mick, and I think he said so now. I think not a good call to have his kids ringside, but he nor The Rock really knew how out of hand things were going to get. The Rock hit him. Foley said in his book, he said The Rock hit him more times than it was either in Have a Nice Day or Foley is Good. I forget which book it was, but he said The Rock hit him, far more times than was planned. Just kind of going with the flow of the match, So
I'm really impressed that Foley's wife didn't interfere in the match. Like, I feel like even if you're a wrestler, like, if you were taking shots like that, I would fucking kill that person.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It makes me like uncomfortable to think
It's
about
one
it.
of the most brutal, if not the most brutal thing I've ever seen in wrestling. And yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen people falling from heights and this and that, but the difference is those people are okay with it and they're doing it themselves, all except for a couple instances.
Okay.
Foley was not doing it to himself. It was one man, inflicting
Mhm.
really brutal violence onto another, and that's not why I watch wrestling. I know a lot of people are into that. Watch UFC. I don't want to see people really hurt each other. And now I love horror movies. I'm not squeamish. I love people getting killed when it's not real. When it's a ghost or a demon killing people, it's fun. But like real, actual violence, I have no interest in sitting and watching that. Yeah, makes me uncomfortable. But that's what the Foley chair shots did. And this chair shot to Swerve a little. Like I said, again, just to say for the last time, we really don't know how hard Swerve had to get hit because the chair was gimmicked. And Kay says she thinks the noise was his shoulders hitting the chair. I really don't think that. We'll go back.
It's the sound of the chair breaking and his shoulders getting hit. Like the combination. Because the only way to have rigged that is to have shaved down the connections of metal. So you're still going to have the sound of the metal breaking, the sound of the impact causing the metal to break, and the sound of the impact on your shoulders happening like almost simultaneously because of how fast the movement was. That's what I think.
We'll try and figure it out. So was that too far? I guess our answer is maybe. Yeah.
My answer is no. My answer is the syringe was unnecessary.
Oh, so the syringe, yeah, is that too far?
Yeah, it was gross. I mean, I don't think it was too far. It's just not my thing. Like,
Yeah, you just don't want to see it.
yeah, I just have issues with like even in horror movies where I know it's not real, like anything like poking through or like pulling the skin, and like those people whose kink is like those metal hooks.
What about Hellraiser? You don't like Hellraiser?
I liked the first Hellraiser, but the other ones no. And even the first one, I'm like, that's not really my thing.
All right, and so let's talk a little, just briefly, and we'll get on some other stuff. Wow, we need to get on some other stuff. Let's talk about the Danielson, the bag over the head. Is that too far?
No, that was nothing.
Right, that was nothing.
Like he was clearly holding the bag in a way that air was still getting in, even though Danielson was like making an effort to like suck the bag into his mouth to make it look like it was tight.
Right.
Like it would have fogged up, like
yeah.
He was not really being choked out. AEW is not for children.
Right.
So if you're worried about your kids or you have the same tastes as children, AEW is probably not for you. And that's okay. Right. Not everything has to be for everybody.
Right.
It's supposed to be an alternative to WWE, which is for children.
Yeah. And, if you're right. If you got a problem, don't watch it. Don't let your kids watch it. Very simple. Mm-hmm. Change channel.
Yeah.
TV's got a lot of buttons on it. One turns it off. One of the others changes the channel. You can use either one, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
And right, that kind of gets to the point I want to make on this very quickly. And that's that, a lot of the people who I've seen online and talked to online about the bag over the head, the syringe into the cheek, the chair shot to the head, these things being, quote, over the line, end quote. As I said before, I think a lot of these people who are saying this are bad faith actors, meaning they're just WWE devotees who, just love to criticize and root against AEW and will take any excuse they can get. Now, I don't think all the people saying this are. I just think a lot. I think the majority of the people I've seen saying it, I feel that is where they're coming from. As from just a place where they don't even believe what they're saying. They just want to say something to complain about AEW. But for those who are really concerned, and do say, "Oh, this is too far," just think, you never seen a violent movie. Think about it. Uh, in Total Recall, let's say Arnold Schwarzenegger, he kills a ton of people in that movie. I mean, are you fine with with gun violence? It's the same thing. Swerve. I mean, really took a hypodermic needle, but that's because he was really fine with doing it. You know, uh, he really took a chair shot to the head, and whether you agree with it or not, it's because he was really fine with doing it. And the same deal with the bag over the head. Not even real. Bryan Danielson is acting. The same way that, again, somebody gets shot in a movie and goes, and dies. They're acting. It's not real. That's something to remember. Now, these are real men and women doing it, and they do really get hurt. But the instances that we're talking about from the pay-per-view, they're not, except for maybe the chair shot, we're not sure. They're not real instances of people, getting hurt or being hurt or real violence or any worse than a lot of things seen in any R-rated movies. I'm not even talking X-rated movies, R-rated movies that are in the movie theaters all the fucking time.
Well, maybe think of like Reservoir Dogs. Like, do people think that guy really cut off that cop's ear?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an act. They're acting. The same way I said, Swerve, didn't really break the chair with his head. It was broken previously. And he didn't, because it might have killed him if that were real. But, Swerve, like I said, broke it with his head when it was already broken, and then still had the wherewithal to sell it,
Well,
and that's what a lot of these people have to realize, is again, he was acting.
I was gonna say Swerve has dreadlocks, and like my best friend in college had dreadlocks, like pretty thick dreadlocks, and it was like having a pillow on her head, like a built-in pillow. So even if they did have to hit him somewhat hard to break the chair, I think his hair would have cushioned like at least some of that impact because of how thick his dreads are, and he normally braids them,
Interesting. I don't know how much of that sound you could have gotten by hitting the hair, though. I know you said part of it could be. But yeah, that's my point. Is these things, they're acting. They're stunt men, stunt women. They're wrestlers. They're choreographers. They're actors. They're all those things. And that's what you got to remember. And again, the other thing you got to remember, like I said a minute ago, you got the power button off. You got the change channel. You don't like it, don't watch it. And the third and final thing I want to say is this wasn't even on television. It's not even for debate. This wasn't for the public. This was a private event paid for by people to watch. They wanted to pay their money to see this event. And so this wasn't on the public airwaves. It wasn't even on the cable airwaves or satellite airwaves or YouTube TV or whatever the hell else. It was a pay-per-view event. It was a private showing, not regulated by anyone. And that's what you got to remember is, if you don't like it, again, don't buy it. Don't spend your money on it if you don't like it. It doesn't mean you need to keep other people from saying it or ban it. Like a lot of these people want to say, we should have these things banned in wrestling. No, we shouldn't. If you don't like it, don't watch it. And that's what a lot of people in society nowadays, I think, have a real problem understanding. If you have a problem with something, that's fine, and it's your right to have a problem with it. That doesn't mean you get to decide for everyone that they should have a problem with it too.
Unless someone's getting like hurt.
Well, right, unless obvious things, yes, like murder,
but
rape, theft, etc. Those things that we can all agree are wrong. Yeah, we're not talking about that kind of stuff at all, though.
No, listening to what you were saying though, it made me realize like I wonder if the owners and like managers of Dave and Buster's were upset.
Huh?
Because I didn't think about that, but like, yeah, it didn't show on TV,
right,
but it's showing in this place where like they highly encourage you to bring your children.
Right.
You know? So that might
I think
be
Dave and
something to
Buster's
think
is really
about.
more for adults, though. I mean, they have a bar, they sell alcohol. In their commercials, I don't see any kids in their commercials. Now, I could be wrong about that, but it's definitely catered towards adults. Not just the prices, but the fact they have a bar and a lot of violent video games. I think it's catered for adults, really. And they show things like this adult pay-per-view event.
There were a lot of children the time we went there.
I'm not saying they're not there. I'm saying I don't think it's promoted as a place for children.
Don't you get tickets and get prizes?
Yeah. But I don't think that's everybody likes getting tickets. Most of the people I see getting tickets are adults at these places.
Huh.
At arcades nowadays. All right. So yeah, All Out, great show, controversial show in some people's minds. Yeah, great show. And we head to Wrestle Dream next month. But right now we are gonna have some news. After I get some water.
Well, he's getting water, and I'm pulling the news up so you can read it. Way back when we were talking about the Outrunners, Asa asked if they only have one piece of merchandise. Sorry. And they don't. They have two. Their newer shirt called Miami Muscle is the one that's been like at the top of the week's high merchandise sellers list. The other one looks like kind of like a 16-bit video game. It says the Outrunners and then has both of them shirtless on a jet ski, but again, like in like a 16-bit style. It's clear to see why the shirt that is currently putting them on top is the one that's popular out of these two, because I don't really like the other one. So I'm going to start the news, even though Asa's not here. So we start the news normally with an injury report, and we have two things to report. Some updates on. So in an interview with Sports Illustrated, Adam Copeland does not have a time frame for his return to the ring after suffering a broken leg in a match in May. He did have surgery on that, but he said it's been a long time since he's had this kind of injury, so he's just not sure how long it's going to take him. But we have seen some pictures of him like training and stuff. The other injury update is on Powerhouse Hobbs. He's been backstage visiting AEW doctors. Hobbs is making good progress in his injury recovery, but he isn't ready to return yet. He underwent surgery to repair his patellar tendon.
Patella.
No, was it?
I don't know about.
No, your patella's a bone. This is patellar tendon.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah. Okay.
After suffering a significant knee injury during a match on AEW Dynamite this April, Tony Khan confirmed he was reportedly backstage at Dynamite in Milwaukee this week. I did the injury update. You can do the rest. Yeah. And I also didn't make your weird news beeping sounds.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
It's an AEW news roundup from the No Bones About Wrestling Control Center, which is the same location where we do the rest of the show. In AEW news, the Friday, August 30th episode of... What?
What'd you do?
I don't know.
Just hold it up.
The Friday, August 30th episode of AEW Rampage averaged 218,000 viewers on TNT, down 24.8% from the previous week. Yikes. It's the second lowest viewership total in the history of Rampage. Only worse than the August 2nd episode that went head-to-head with the Olympics. Rampage drew a .07 rating in the 18 through 49 demo. That's down 30% from last week, and ties the lowest rating the show has ever done in that category. Not good news. And that's, while AEW is, negotiating a new TV deal. So I don't know. That's not good. Kevin Kelly and the performers formerly known as Dalton Castle's boys, Brendan and Brandon Tate, have filed suit against AEW. Kelly alleges defamation from Ian Riccaboni and AEW, stemming from Riccaboni making comments on a Discord channel regarding Kelly, mentioning a QAnon linked film on air. And if you don't know QAnon, very simply, they believe that the Democrats are part of a syndicate that kidnaps, tortures, and eats children and molests children, and that Donald Trump is the ultimate good guy in the world, and he is leading a charge within the government to stop them. So that's QAnon. Kelly is seeking monetary damages, claiming AEW breached his contract and that the situation has made it difficult for him to find work elsewhere. I think he's just having trouble finding work elsewhere because, he's a kook. And he he really went out of his way to act like an asshole after he got fired too. So I think that's why he's having trouble finding work elsewhere. Of course, those are just jokes, folks. The Tate twins were fired in April. Tony Khan stated publicly that their releases were due to no-showing events. The brothers said it was due to a miscommunication. What happened is AEW booked their flights out of an airport that they don't normally use. They don't like it. They didn't like it, and they did not show up for the flight. And so they no-showed the event. And I'm not sure what their argument is there. Again, their argument is there was a miscommunication. But again, they were told, that here are your seats. We bought your seats on this flight. You need to be there. They were told they'd try and do something else. It didn't happen, and they no-showed the flight. AEW star Saraya is telling her life story in a new book set to be released next year titled Hell in Boots. Saraya's memoir is scheduled for a March 25th, 2025 release. And we didn't do a t-shirt check tonight, not yet, but I am wearing my Saraya shirt. It's a pretty cool shirt. I'm not a huge Saraya fan. I mean, I like her. But the shirt came in one of the AEW All Elite crates. You could only get it in the All Elite crate. And I just like the way the shirt looks, to be quite honest. Kay is not wearing a wrestling shirt tonight.
But I'm wearing an awesome shirt.
Yeah, she's wearing a Marcus Smart Boston Celtics shirt. Although he now plays for the Memphis Grizzlies.
He is forever a Celtic in my heart.
August 31st, AEW Collision episode averaged 289,000 viewers on TNT. That's down 34.6% from the previous week. It's the lowest audience total the show has ever done in its regular time slot. Collision finished 19th for the day on the cable charts, which is still all right, with a .10 rating in the 18 through 49 demo. That number is down 23.1% from last week. So yeah, Collision and Rampage, terrible news as far as their ratings. So no excuses. That's just bad news for them. But again, we'll go through what we go through a lot of times. These are cable ratings, and just ask yourself, how many people do you personally know who still have or watch cable? I think a lot of us have satellite. We ourselves, we have streaming television. I know my mother has streaming television. Those are the only people I talk to. So
I know no one that has cable.
Yeah. So yeah, I personally, I don't know anyone that has cable either. So yeah, again, to put these cable numbers in perspective, just ask yourself, how many people, like what percentage of the people I know have cable? And I think you'll probably find it's kind of an outdated thing. So I don't think these are really, I'm sure they're not reflective of AEW's actual viewership. You can just look at how much money they've made and how much merchandise they sell, and you can realize that these numbers are not, they don't tell how many people are watching their programs. Wednesday night's episode of AEW Dynamite averaged 660,000 viewers on TBS, down only 5.3% from last week. So that's the best ratings news. Dynamite finished 5th for Wednesday on the cable charts with a 0.19 rating in the 18 through 49 demo, and that's down 17.4% from last week. That's not great. AEW filed for 3 trademarks this week. AEW filed to trademark the term "the clone" and also filed for the same name in Spanish, El Clon. And the company filed to trademark, I guess that's for an upcoming character, I'm not sure. And the company also filed to trademark AEW Shockwave with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. A lot of people believe this is a show that's coming to Fox, the Fox network. Now that I think SmackDown is on Fox and it's leaving. And so they think AEW Shockwave is going to be a new show on Fox. What they're basing this on, I have no idea. I'm just telling you what people are saying. Both Swerve Strickland and MJF will be taking time off after injury angles and All Out. AEW Collision Friday, which aired opposite SmackDown, averaged just 157,000 viewers. So it aired opposite SmackDown, and it aired opposite like the only Friday night NFL game of the year. And the NFL kills everything in the ratings. It's the number 1 rated thing in the country. But yeah, so the number for Collision down 45.7% from last week. It's the lowest audience total in the history of the show. Rampage, which aired after Collision in a 3-hour programming block, averaged 233,000 viewers in its normal time slot, and that was up 6.9% week over week. Collision drew a record low 0.04 rating in the 18 through 49 demo. That's down 60% from the previous week when it aired in its normal Saturday night time slot. Rampage drew a 0.08 rating in the 18 through 49 demo, and that was up 14.3% from last week. So Rampage going up. That's good news. It looks like people tuned in, maybe after they watched SmackDown or something like that. But again, Collision, 1, people might have missed it because it wasn't its normal time slot. 2 was up against SmackDown, and 3 again was up against the NFL. So that number I wouldn't really attribute much stock to what that number means. We knew Collision was going to get clobbered in the ratings.
Rampage's numbers always go up when they do it as a 3rd hour.
Huh.
And also remember this week's Collision and Rampage had a huge run over.
Yeah.
Where like more than half the match took place on Rampage for the main event of Collision.
Mm-hmm. Some upcoming matches and show dates. And Kay Fabulous is back with us.
Hey.
All right, for Dynamite tomorrow night, AEW World Tag Team Title number 1 contendership Casino Gauntlet match. We do not know how many teams will be featured or how many teams are on the list, I should say. These Casino Gauntlet matches, it'll start out with 2 teams in the ring. Every few minutes, another team enters, and you can win the match, either by pin or submission. So if the match it won't, but it could theoretically end with just the first 2 teams in. If you get a pin, the match is over. It won't. They'll probably get at least to like 10 teams coming in or something like that. 8-10 teams at least. But yeah, that's how they go. First team to score a fall wins the number 1 contendership. On Dynamite tomorrow. Also, there's
something else for that. Their match that they're going to win is going to be a Grand Slam. It'll be their title shot.
September 25th at Grand Slam.
Yeah, sorry, I thought that was important.
No, yeah, thank you, Kay. Also, for Dynamite tomorrow night, there's an AEW Women's World Title Eliminator match. meaning if the challenger beats the champion, it's a non-title match. So if the challenger beats the champion, they earn a title match. And so the world champion Mariah May is facing Queen Aminata, and that of course stems from All Out, where Queen Aminata prevented Mariah May from further beating down the injured Sky Blue. And also, so only two matches announced so far for Dynamite tomorrow. And they also have announced Jon Moxley live. That's how they put it. It's a little odd. Sounds like a talk show. But so Jon Moxley, we expect is going to speak to the events that occurred at All Out. Namely him seemingly beginning a new faction with himself, Marina Shafir, Peck, and Claudio Castagnoli. And of course, he knocked out Bryan Danielson. Some would say, in the plot, he tried to kill Bryan Danielson. I don't know. We'll see what he has to say for himself. I assume we'll see what he has to say for himself. Again, they didn't say he's talking; they just said he'll be there. So
he could show up in a beret with like a stool and share his love and passion for beat poetry with the rest of us.
Yeah.
I made that up.
Okay. So another show coming up, CMLL's Arena Mexico 91st anniversary on September 13th, Friday the 13th, which I actually have an announcement about that in a minute. I'm only announcing the AEW matches that are occurring on Friday the 13th in CMLL. We're going to see Mystico, who was rated highly in the PWI 500. I believe he was rated 9th or 10th. I could be wrong about that, but he was rated very highly. And he's facing Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree. Of course, formerly a giant star in Mexico, Chris Jericho. I mean, still a big star in Mexico. I just mean when he wrestled in Mexico 20 years ago. Also, we're going to see Volador Jr., Atlantis Jr., and Ultimo Guerrero, and they're taking on former two-time international champ Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, and Hideo Kojima, or Kojima, as everybody calls him. Maybe that's his name. And also at the Arena Mexico show, Friday the 13th, CMLL Women's Championship. Willow Nightingale defends her belt against Zeuxis, I believe is how we pronounce her name. I think that's right, yeah. And as I said, show's not done, but I have an announcement we're just talking about Friday the 13th, so I have an announcement. 3 days from now, Friday the 13th, if you were with us last year, one of our more popular and favorite things to do last year was to have watch-alongs for WCW Halloween Havoc events. The old, we're not talking about NXT Halloween Havoc, WCW Halloween Havoc. We really enjoyed doing those, and yeah, and Kay has a skeleton there, and yeah, we really enjoyed doing those. And so the way it goes is, we'll be there. We'll talk about it a little, and this is Friday night, 7:55 p.m. Eastern time. So what happens is we come on, we'll talk about the matches just a little on the show, just a little, and then at 8 o'clock or very soon after. So try and be there before 8. We'll be on before 8. So try and be there a bit before 8. But at 8 o'clock or very soon thereafter, we'll have a countdown. We'll say, and all the Halloween Havocs, they're available on the WWE Network, which is, on Peacock. So if you have Peacock, you can watch it with us. Or if you have a DVD copy or a VHS copy, you can watch it with us. But yeah. Or if you can find one on the internet, you can watch it with us. Of course, I'm not encouraging you to do anything illegal. But we're going to be watching WCW Halloween Havoc 1998. One of the last Halloween Havocs, and a pretty damn good one, I think, and one I've kind of held off on for a bit. But as I was saying, though, the way it works, is we'll talk about the show a little, and then we say, all right, let's get ready to start. Have your hand on the play button, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we press play, so we're all synced up. So The bullshit that we're saying goes along with what you're watching on your screen.
Mm.
And of course, we'll be taking comments from you in the chat. And, we watch these, old WCW shows, we have fun with them. They're, some of them are great shows and some of them have some silly stuff on them. So we're fine with making fun a little. That's fine. With the whole point of the thing is to have fun. So it'll be a good time. Friday night, 7:55, WCW Halloween Havoc 98.
Are we dressing up?
We may dress up. It's getting close to Halloween, Friday the 13th.
Is it because you're halfway to a pirate costume already?
I guess I'll be a pirate or some shit. Yeah, why not? Yeah, can you do that Friday?
I'll figure something out. Yeah.
Okay, we're dressing up for Halloween Friday, for your entertainment. But yeah, it's Friday the 13th. We celebrate Halloween pretty much like when September hits, and definitely by Friday the 13th in September, it's time. Yeah, Friday 7:55, Halloween Havoc 98. Some of the matches, the long-awaited rematch between Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. It's terrible. Also, the undefeated world champion Goldberg defends his belt against the War Games winner for 98, DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. That match is awesome. I think also Sting and Bret Hart face off for the United States title. Raven is on there. I know Rick Steiner is on there somewhere. There's a special appearance by a horror icon that I don't want to reveal if you don't know who it is.
I know who it is.
There's a special appearance from a very murderous horror icon, and it's fun.
One of my favorite horror icons.
One of mine too, yeah, definitely. But he's there, and I'm trying to think what's the main event. Because Goldberg DDP is not the main event.
Hogan's not the main event?
Might have been Hogan Warrior. I feel like that wasn't the main event even. Maybe Goldberg DDP was the main event.
Well, we'll find out.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll find out Friday. I might list a card before Friday. And again, I'll put all this info on X for you, on our X feed. And probably on Instagram, and do a bit about it on TikTok as well. But yeah, please join us. It'll be a good time. We're going to do several of these leading up to Halloween, and you'll have a more notice for the rest of them. But yeah, starting Friday the 13th, 7:55 Eastern Time.
And if you have plans, you can always
Break
watch.
them.
Well, I was going to say it's going to be on YouTube, so you can always just watch it later if you're still interested, but maybe you can't do it on Friday.
Exactly. Yeah, you can always watch it later because, like I said, all you got to do is have Peacock. All the Halloween Havocs are on there, and then just open up, our file, and then, like I said, it's just a countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play, and then we're synced up. It's like we're live with you. So, yeah.
Open up our file.
Whatever. I couldn't think of click on YouTube. Click our picture on YouTube or whatever you do.
They know how to use YouTube.
That's what you do, is you open it and then wait for the countdown and press play so you can watch it whenever you want. And in fact, most people watch those after the fact.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, press play at the same time as us and you'll be fine. All right. We got a little more show to do and we are out of here. I believe all that's left is the top 5. Your weekly AEW top 5 rankings. We sweat, we slave over these rankings. We try very hard to make them accurate for you.
We fight to the death. You always leave that one off.
We fight to the death sometimes over who needs to be ranked higher. That's true. That's how we break ties, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We fight to the death.
Yep.
And then when there's another tie, we fight to the death again.
That's true.
Because
we're ghosts.
We fight from our watery graves.
That was not good.
No, it wasn't. We fight from our watery graves is what I was going for there. All right. And then the top 5 are supposed to reflect the top 5 of the past week in AEW. So we do the top 5 men, the top 5 women, and the top 5 teams. So, Kay, where should we start?
Teams.
All right, and we have a lot of change from last week in all of the top fives. Number 5, their first time ever in the top 5. They won their first match in AEW, the Outrunners.
Yeah.
Number 4 in the top 5. They are 2/3 of the World Trios champions, and they were in the World Tag Team title match at All Out, but lost. And now they're on seemingly opposite sides and in a faction. Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, number 4, making their debut. Returning to the top 5. Number 3 is a trios team, former World Tag Team champions and formerly part of a World Trios World Trios Championship team. The Guns and their partner, Juice Robinson, who has not held an AEW title. They're number 3, the Bang Bang Gang. And they got a win over, the Premier Athletes at the, on the 0 hour?
Yes.
Yeah, on the 0 hour for All Out. Number 2, back in the rankings, the trios team of the Undisputed Kingdom. That is former international champion Roderick Strong teaming with the Kingdom. And they got a win in that triple threat that triple threat trios match on the 0 hour. They defeated
Dustin, Sammy, and someone else.
Dustin, right? Sammy, and Hologram. No, they didn't.
No, but Dustin and Sammy, I thought.
No.
I didn't write down the 0 hour matches.
Okay, they defeated Top Flight and Action Andretti and the team of Shane Taylor, Lee Moriarty, and the Beast Mortos.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the Rampage or whatever.
Yeah, so number 3 there, the number 2, the Undisputed Kingdom. And number 1, up 4 spots from number 5 last week. They defended their belts successfully at All Out. The Young Bucks, the World Tag Team Champions. So that's number 1, Young Bucks. Number 2, Undisputed Kingdom Trios. Number 3, the Bang Bang Gang Trios team. Number 4, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. Number 5, the Outrunners. All right, so next, Kay, what do you think? Women. Number 5, she lost on the pay-per-view, but in a very good match. She is the CMLL Women's Champion, defending that belt on Friday the 13th. Willow Nightingale.
I love her.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Number 4, got the win in the Chicago Street Fight at All Out. Former TBS champion Chris Statlander, making her return to the top 5.
Was Willow returning, or was she on that last?
Returning, yes. Okay. Yeah, I didn't say that. Returning.
Okay.
Number 3, down 1 spot from number 2 last week. She got a shot at the TBS title at All Out, but she lost. But she is a 3-time former world champion, Hikaru Shida, number 3. Number 2 this week, as I said, she defended her TBS title, and she is undefeated in AEW, making her return to the top 5. Mercedes Moné. We hadn't seen her wrestle in a couple weeks. And number 1, same as last week, AEW Women's World Champion, Mariah May. So that's number 1, Mariah May. Number 2, Mercedes Moné. Number 3, Hikaru Shida. Number 4, Chris Statlander. And number 5, Willow Nightingale. And last but not least, the men. Number 5, 1/3 of the World Trios Champions, with Castagnoli and Yuta. So we'll see how that shakes out. But he was an excellent match, and an excellent losing effort for the international title at All Out. And that is Pac, returning to the top 5. Number 4, he is the man who holds a contract to cash in for a world title shot anytime, any place. The leader of the patriarchy, returning to the top 5, former TNT champion Christian Cage. Number 3, the 2-time international champion, current international champion, had a win in probably the second best match of the pay-per-view, first or second, however you see it. And he's returning to the top 5, and that's Will Ospreay, who I would say is probably the best wrestler in the world today. Number 2, making his return to the top 5, former TNT champion Darby Allin. And of course, he has a world title shot coming up 15 days from now at AEW Grand Slam in New York. He won that by winning the Royal Rampage match weeks ago. And number one, same as last week in the top five, he successfully defended his belt against TNT champion Jack Perry, and that is Bryan Danielson, the AEW World Champion, who was then knocked out by Jon Moxley with a plastic bag. So we'll see what Danielson has to say about all that, I assume, tomorrow night. So that's number one, Bryan Danielson. Number two, Darby Allin. Number three, bless you.
Thank you.
Number three, Will Ospreay. Number four, Christian Cage. And number five, Pac. And that is those are your top five rankings for this week in AEW. And folks, we want to thank you very much. That is the show for this week. I have a couple things to say. Thank you very much for watching. As always, we're listening. If you're listening on the on a podcast, we appreciate it very much. And we have a couple things coming up. Tomorrow night, we'll be doing a watch along of AEW Dynamite. And hopefully, our friend Wolf will be on that. The predictions champion, Wolf, will be on that. And that starts at 7:55 Eastern Time. Friday, as I said, we're doing our WCW Halloween Havoc 98 watch along. And that starts at 7:55 Eastern Time. And there will be an announcement about that. There already is one on X. But there'll be a reminder on X. But 7:55 Eastern Time, Halloween Havoc. Saturday night, 7:55, we're doing a Collision watch along, and then of course next Tuesday, same time as always. We start at 7:15 tonight, but we'll start at 7 o'clock next Tuesday. AEW Weekly every Tuesday, 7 Eastern Time. So yeah, Kay, you have anything to say?
Nope.
All right, folks, thanks very much for watching. I want to thank Stephen Chambers, Eric Tate, DGSB, Haseen, Jeff, and Antonio for participating in the chat. We love talking to you. We love hearing from you. Talk to us on X. Talk to us on here, whichever, tell us whatever you want, as long as it's related to wrestling, and we'll talk to you about it. And folks, have a great night. And as Mick Foley would say, have a nice day. Bye.
Bye. And happy birthday all